So who else are we having? Let's see.
Ensuring all the panelists are here before we get started. So just bear with us.
John Herman Lucas.
Andrew, how many people are missing right now?
I don't see Cervez. I don't know the name that she's there under. I'm looking for Cervez. Cervez Hall.
It's only him?
I'll Sean and I'll come back on.
Okay.
Is it only him that's missing?
I'm checking. I was looking for Ian. I see that you're there.
I'm here.
Yes. Okay, I'm not seeing Cervez, so you'll just give 1 minute more before we get started.
All right, so we can start at 7:05.
Yes.
I spoke to him earlier this evening, and he knew that it was this evening started by Zoom, so I presume that he is preparing on his way to his workstation. So we expect him. Just give him a few minutes. You know, he's
okay. I did receive an indication that his son was setting up for him.
Yes.
So.
Good evening.
Hi, good evening, Bertram.
How are you doing?
Good evening.
Well, you can confirm with respect to Cervez?
I don't know. Alicia just went up to call Sean to see what's happening there.
Okay.
But, yeah. What's his name? Henderson Springer. You don't see him or I don't know.
I am here. I saw
Handy. Handy's here.
Oh, good night. Good night. Good night to all.
You fellas got some sweaty names there that I don't know. So yeah. All right.
You mean 8 Springer? 8 Springer is quite clear. I don't think there could be more than one 8 Springer here.
Oh, I didn't see 8 Springer. Sorry.
Yes, I am here. I am still 8 Springer.
Realistic.
So that will be on shortly.
Right now.
5 minutes.
Okay, they're being told that Sabez will be on in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I think we
was
can.
supposed to be 7 minutes. I'll call Ricky on.
Okay.
So Andrew, what I'll do is that we'll officially start with the school song in 1 minute, and then once he comes on, you can officially start the presentation. All right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So at 7:07, I'll start the school song.
Okay.
They're on now. It's on now. I just heard it. I watching something from Combermere.
Oh, see Ricky.
What if we don't have volume? Well, coffee starts out of them. Anyone know the whereabouts of Michael Small? Bruce, you can contact him. Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. This is the 5th out of our series of activities for our week of celebration of Combermere Week. This evening, as you know, we have a panel discussion that will be hosted by Dr. Andrew Ford. I'm happy to welcome Dr. Ford, who, outside of his primary avocation, is also a sports administrator of note. And I'm sure that he's eagerly looking forward to sharing with you and moderating our panel of individuals, noted individuals who are well-versed to speak on this subject. Welcome, Dr. Ford, and over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Andrew, and thanks for the old scholars for asking me to do this job for you as a fellow Combermerean. And tonight we're here to talk about Combermere's legacy to the cricket landscape. And we know that Combermere is a school that always tries to produce well-rounded individuals, and cricket is something that we've excelled in as well as academics and hockey and all the other things that we know Combermere is famous for. I wasn't one of the individuals who helped to build that legacy. My cricketing career wasn't very long. I remember being in 3rd form and I was sitting in the pavilion with my pad on and waiting to go out to bat. And there was this guy called George Garnes who'd gone in before me. And he got a short ball and got hit in the mouth and some of his teeth came out. And one of the little dustpans we made in metalwork went out and raked them up. And I decided that I would pursue academics and leave cricket behind. But Combermere's been around for hundreds of years and 300 years, but we have a big legacy in cricket and we've produced at least 20 test players. We can name them and name the important ones. Started with Herman Griffith, who played the first 13 tests starting in 1928. Derek Seeley, the youngest of the test cricketers who started playing tests at school at age 17. Foffy Williams, Manny Martindale, George Carew, Eric Atkinson, Wes Hall, Clyde Walcott, Peter Lashley. Raul Branker didn't play test cricket, but made a sterling contribution as a businessman and also for Cricket World Cup. Roland Holder, Andy Cummins, Ralston Chase, Shane Dowridge, Jamal Warkham, Shane Mosley, and even for women, we've broken that glass ceiling with Shakira Salman being a West Indian player. Some of our players we exported, but they still represent us. Players like Gladson Small, Ricky Alcock is here, Christopher Jordan, who's now playing in the World Cup as well, and quite a few captains with Teddy Holt and Dennis Atkinson, Sir Frank, who was really at the pinnacle of captaincy and change cricket, and also Black awareness for all of us. Craig Brathwaite and Carlos Brathwaite also played the T20s. So we have a rich legacy spanning many years, and we want to look at that legacy and also try to see why we are what we are. And I will start first of all by introducing some of the panelists that we have here this evening. There's Hendy Springer, who is one of my contemporaries who played for Barbados and Eastern Transvaal and coached the West Indies and now is an assistant coach with the West Indies team. He was an assistant coach with the West Indies team and works with the BCA. Bruce Cox, who is a very big help to the teams as a manager, who's managed all the levels from under 15 to under 17 in the Barbados setup. Ricardo Alcock, who had a fledgling career at Combermere and went away to play his cricket in the UK, and also was called up for the England tour and was one of the first captains of Virgin Atlantic, the first black captain. We hope to have Sir Wes, and I guess when Sir Wes comes, we can deal with that long CV of Wes. But first of all, I'd like to start with introducing and welcoming Hendy to speak with me. And I know, Hendy, you're one of my contemporaries, but the first question I'd ask is, when you first came to Combermere, Hendy, were you aware of that legacy of cricket that Combermere is noted for? Or did you just come to Combermere not knowing anything and you were introduced and loved it just from the school.
Well, good evening all. Good evening all. So for the first thing you can say is that as a youngster coming from St. Lucie,
Marlene, please. Thank you. Go ahead, Henry.
Sorry, as a youngster coming from the extreme north of Barbados, I heard about a bit in Legacy, and at that point in the time, I didn't know Sir Rez or any other people of that went to Combermere. I only knew of George Reefer because I would have watched him play some under 15 games, and to me, George Reefer at that point in time was an outstanding schoolboy cricketer. So I think for me, it had to sink in as I was there, and got to know people and got to participate as well. So I didn't came with a big lot of fear or even understanding of the Legacy prior or to come.
Yeah, well, I was lucky to see George Reefer at Wesley Hall, and he was really a languid and a beautiful batsman. I mentioned about 20 plus players that played for the West Indies or were distinguished, but I shouldn't really neglect all those other players that have played the game and done so with, very well. And some of those players that have gone elsewhere, like Ricky Alcock and we talk about the UK, but I'm sure Combermereans are all over the world making their contribution. Ricky, thanks for joining us. I know it may be getting a bit late there, but you were with us and you left us with some of the others, but I'm sure your heart was still here. What was it like as a young schoolboy at Combermere as you started to build that cricketing career of yours?
Well, I went to Combermere as a 10-year-old. I went into lower first back in, I think it was 1975. And fairly much like Handy, I knew not very much about sport, certainly cricket at Combermere. I mean, obviously I knew about cricket because my dad had explained various bits about cricket to me, but I didn't actually know that much about it. And just like Handy, when I arrived at Combermere and saw people like Gladstone Small, who eventually played with myself in the English side, George Reefer, Ricky Harrison, people like that. I'm Styler. That's when I fell in love with the game at Combermere. And of course, at the time, Harold Brewster was our games master. So he actually pushed the game quite hard in those days. And that's where my love of cricket actually evolved.
Okay, well, I was around that time too, and I knew Bruce, and I saw some of all the guys that you mentioned, and yeah, I know that Bruce was there too. I guess we're all contemporaries, and Bruce would have had a love for cricket, which he is continue to have. And Bruce, what about your early recollections of being a schoolboy at Combermere and getting into the game along with other things? Bruce, I hope you're not muted. Can you hear me?
I think Bruce is muted.
Yeah.
No, he's not.
Okay, well, if while Bruce gets it together, it's interesting you mentioned Gladstone Small, and Gladstone Small would have been ahead of you at school. Yes. I remember seeing Gladstone as a bigger boy. When you were a younger boy, you'd be pitching your marbles, and guys with mud would come and stand up on those marbles and walk away. And I somehow vaguely remember Gladstone Small being one of those boys. But did you make a connection, because you're here and you're a player who did most of your games in the UK? Did you make a connection with Gladstone here, or was it when you were older? And
no, I didn't actually make. I was too young at Combermere. I knew vaguely of him, and of course he was a contemporary of Ricky Harrison. Where Ricky Harrison grew up, a few houses down the road from me. So I knew Ricky very well, but I didn't know Gladstone, terribly well. But when I got to England, of course, Gladstone was playing for Warwickshire at the time, and I was playing for Worcester. I played for Worcester when I suppose I was 17, something like that. And in one of the very early games that I played for Worcester, we actually played Warwickshire. So I actually got to speak to Gladstone around that time. And of course, then, as I said, we managed to come here on an English tour. 1990, I think it was. We were both in the touring party together. So there were two Combermereans. Then there's a picture somewhere around with myself, Gladstone, and Sir Wes. There's three Combermereans, a picture with the English touring team actually arriving here in Barbados.
Hendy, this is Combermere Week, and I think we all remember as Combermereans while we were there and even since Combermere Week and that cricket match. And that's the cricket match that allowed us to see a lot of the older Combermereans. And one of the things I liked about, and I still like about being a Combermerean is the connection that we have with the older generation and that appreciation and respect for older people and not being, not discriminating against or marginalizing older people. Can you tell us about some of the older players that you would have got to play with at those old scholars matches?
Well, with and against as well. I know we played against Sir Wes and Peter Lashley, but there were some Combermereans there who, although they probably didn't play international cricket, I thought they were outstanding teachers because those games were not only about bat and ball. You had a little interaction, verbal interaction, and at the end of the game, as always, Ricky spoke about George Reefer, Gladstone Small. I can't remember playing much with him, but there was a guy called Pedro Corbin.
Yes.
I saw that he was a high class batsman as well too. But like with all Combermereans, it gets to a stage where you have to make a choice between family, profession, or whatever the case might be. Some of us are lucky to be able to pursue cricket with vigor and stay with the game for a lifetime, albeit in different capacities. Ricky spoke about another guy called Styler. His name is Jeff Chandler.
Yeah,
he was a good cricketer as well too. I remember playing against a gentleman called Anton Norris. He would be considerably older than me. He was a high jumper, I was told, but you could see it from his run up, long strides, short approach. So it was really an experience that second to none. You rub shoulders with some outstanding people, not only outstanding cricketers. So Rez took it upon himself on many occasions to make 100. I can't remember if Ricky ever made 100. I remember one time. I remember one time we actually won a match against the Old Scholars, and that was reason for celebration until probably the next Old Scholars game the next year. But it was tremendous interaction, and I think that is one of the things too that started the function that is now held in the hall, because we used to retire to the hall to have a couple of drinks, soft albeit, because Colonel Maynard used to be there watching on to ensure that all was well, with us especially. So we couldn't really stay along. But as we grew into men, the interaction was a lot longer, a lot stronger, and we started building our careers and having insights into the careers that we want to pursue in our Scholars Week. So albeit sometimes informal, in an informal manner, it served its purpose, and it continues to.
I don't know if Bruce has recovered from his difficulties, but I don't see him. But Ricky, being in the UK, you would have still heard a lot about Combermere. Oh, Bruce, you're there. I'll come to you soon. You would have heard about Combermere, and I'm sure there were Combermereans in the UK that you would have come into contact with that had some involvement in cricket, and they may be people that we might not know too much about. Are there any Combermereans that you can think of that you should be aware of?
I mean, fairly much in my early career, as I said, I played my first class game. I think I was just 17 around 17 years old. And very early on, obviously, of course, we played people against like Gladstone Small and stuff like that. But John Holder, he was the first black
umpire,
first black test match umpire in England, and he never gave me anything. I never got a decision from him, but at least we both. Yeah, I would ask plenty of time, and I occasionally I would even say, John, up and on, but he still. I still got nothing from him, But people like John Holder, who, we're now actually quite good friends, on Facebook and stuff like that. But, people like Boo Nurse, who sadly passed away 3 days ago. He, in England, when I first arrived in England, Boo was one of the very first people that I came into contact with, because he I don't know if he ever worked, but he certainly spent a lot of time watching county cricket. I tell you that now. So I saw a lot of Boo. And anytime I was in London playing, either Surrey or the Oval, or even perhaps somewhere like Chelmsford in Essex, he would always run into Boo, So he was an old Combermere.
Yeah, definitely. I heard of, I was reminded of Boo by Hugo Innes today, who talked about all the good work that he did and some of the great players that he would have been able to meet through Boo. So condolences to his family, even though
absolutely.
Rest in peace. Bruce, you're with us now. You can unmute your mic. Still waiting for you to unmute, but while I wait for that, I'll just tell us of your early recollections of being a schoolboy at Combermere and starting to love the game. Where did that come from, Bruce? You're still muted, Bruce. It happens to me. I think the mute is on the bottom left. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Love for cricket, always. I don't, we call it roller tree then, but I wasn't like in Ricky's class, actually. I mean, it was in his class in terms of form, but not ability. Ricky, you remember, and he got likes of Fatih Ali, Rodwell London, and Airsy Springer. I barely made the team, perhaps at number 15. But after leaving school, I believe that my cricket improved tremendously. At school, under Mr. Brewster, most of us would know, back and across Brewster. I remember one evening going out to the nets under the late Seymour Nurse. And in those times, you had to be invited or sent by Mr. Brewster to practice. If you weren't sent, you could not go around the nets. But I went around the nets and Fatih Ali gave me a batting. I did pretty well, And the next morning, Mr. Nurse said to Mr. Brewster, this short guy, he batted pretty well. And Mr. Brewster asked me, who sent me to practice? So, but as I said before, loved the cricket game. Played quite a bit, especially in second division and whatnot. Not in the first team, but love for cricket was always there. And surrounded by good friends like Ricky, Springs, Fatih Ali, to call a few.
Okay. Were there any other? I know that we would have known about Harold Brewster, and I guess for the younger folks, we would have had some other cricket coaches like Roddy Eswick and also Harry Seeley had an interest in cricket as well, a little interest.
Yeah, Harry Seeley played. Harry Seeley was in my time, but I believe that apart from the older guys like Sir Frank and whatnot, the cricket that we know now really came out under Mr. Roddy Eswick. As you would know, and Ricky Fuzz might know, we had Mara Thompson dealing with cricket for a bit. And then Mr. Elliot Forth Williams felt that, we needed a cricket master. And in came Roddy Eswick, and the rest is history.
Yeah. Roddy's made a really big influence in the cricket, but we can't sell what you've done short, because you've been around all of the younger players, and since we don't have some of the older vintage like Sawez with us right now, I think we can move from the era of Ricky and you and if I affectionately say Earsley to the younger guys. So So tell us about the you know, what are you seeing in the younger guys? Because you have Dowrich and you have Ralston Chase, Craig Brathwaite, you have, you know, a whole new group of guys, and you would have seen them as a manager coming through. Tell us about the character of the younger cricketer.
Well, being under Roddy Ashford, even myself as manager was under Roddy Ashford. These guys, I believe that our success came through mainly hard work. The end result was there, but we had those younger guys put in a lot of hard work. And as a good friend of mine, as you just said, here's his Springer, always tell me, discipline isn't just saying good morning, good evening. Discipline is being able to do your right things unsupervised all the time. And we had that in these youngsters from the Carlos Bradford era right up to what we're seeing now in Craig Brathwaite and Ross and Chase, younger people. I remember that our evening sessions right after school, plenty hard work. You guys knew their routine. Mr. Esmith put everything in place once, and you didn't have to say it again. Guys knew that coming to training was warming up, going cross country, going around the stadium, going down Bank Hall, coming back up. Then we going to the nets. Hard work, hard work, hard work. And there was never a shortcut. I remember plenty times Mr. Roddy and myself would sit down and say, well, we know who coming back last, or we know who coming back first. But then you would see, as you would say, a chance is as strong as his weakest link. You would see, but you know, Craig would have been fast and thing, but these guys all came back as a team, and that's how we played. That's how we played. Many people might have not envied our success by just seeing results, but the hard work, these guys were very, very disciplined. And not only in cricket, because we made it our business to get involved in schoolwork and behavior patterns at school. Because, you know, once these guys begin to have success, you know, like a quarterback in football, as you would call it, these guys figured out they're the it's in the school, so they can just do as they like in school, you know. But we always get, and the good thing about it is that we had Roddy as a master, not just coming on evenings after work or after school. He was there right through, and I believe that is one of the key things that made Combermere cricket a success, because we had a cricket master, and that's what we're missing now, and we're hoping to get back where yeah.
Hendy, I remember going to some school fairs, and you and George Harris batted for most of those school fairs without people being able to get you out. But we are aware of the great older players that I mentioned, like the Herman Griffiths and Derek Seelys and all that. And you look at the facilities that Combermere has had when you were a schoolboy, and now the facilities that Combermere has now, and also playing cricket at first class level, and also playing cricket in South Africa and elsewhere, you would have seen some of the facilities that are available. Try to put in perspective for us how, I mean, the achievement of our players from Combermere being able to do what they've done when you think of the facilities that we have at the school.
I think the achievements have been outstanding. I mean, taking into consideration the facilities or lack of that we would have had. And I can tell you now, Ricky and some of the other guys on this talk can tell you that overseas, the people that cater for the preparation of sportsmen, they have every single thing, every single resource it would take to get a sportsman from A to B to C, or whatever the case may be. And when you see players from Barbados itself, it is off the background of being able to use well the facilities, limited as they might be, and having a good attitude, having a top attitude towards the preparation and where they want to get. But all the Combermeres I've seen the what I call the foot soldiers. I've seen the guys who have built a foundation which is good enough to still to be built upon after all these years. You know, but the facilities are tremendous, and I think any West Indian, any Combermere, or whatever the case may be, who excelled, and to the point where he's able to go overseas, you know, and command and display commanding performance in any field of human endeavor. I think that itself is a great achievement, taking into consideration what that person would have had to start his preparation with. Just want to cross over quickly. Points to note. We missed the thing there with when you spoke to the West Indies players coming from Combermere School. I think we missed Hendy Bryan. I don't know if you had Hendy Bryan's name there.
Oh yes, we missed Hendy Bryan. It was inevitable that would happen. So apologies to Hendy and his fans. That will be an addition. So I think that must be right. We have to get the statisticians to look and see what that number should be now, if it's 21.
And you also mentioned too, sorry Ricky, you also mentioned too that there are a number of Combermeres of late. I mean, some would have done it in the distant past that would have represented other countries. Yes. George Riffer represented Scotland, and Andy Cummins represented Canada.
Yes.
You know, and I'm sure that some of the gentlemen here would add as we go deeper into
Yeah, well, we don't mind them adding because we want to build that legacy. So educate us.
Yeah, Doc, can I just say that there's also, we a lot of the times we forget that Combermere, for instance, did not have a sixth form for quite a lot of its life. And there were a lot of people that went to school at Combermere who then had to go on and go to school at Harrison College or Lodge, for instance, because they were first grade secondary schools in them times. And there's players that, I mean, David Holford, for instance, went to school at Combermere. A lot of people do not understand that. So it's Clyde Walker.
Yes.
You know, these are people that went to school at Combermere, and we need to remember, you know, people like that who, out of their choice, perhaps, you know, might have stayed at Combermere if we had a sixth form at the time. And quickly, I like to add, as you said about the facilities or lack of we have at Combermere. I was fortunate to go to a boarding school in England. Now, this is a school that's the price of this school is £45,000 a year. £45,000. Can you imagine that kind of money sending a kid to school every year, of course? And as Hendy has been and seen that school, he'll tell you the type of facilities that school has, and they do not have a fifth of the legacy that we have.
Well, I guess another thing that people may look at, including lack of facilities, and you did also mention the ability to have those extra 2 years to develop your craft at Combermere. We have to also look at what's happened in terms of maybe coeducation, and you know, we look at the legends and the icons, and we look at the players of today, and some wonder if maybe coeducation hasn't been kind to us. Not that we love the fact that we have girls at Combermere, that's a given, but I guess Ricky, you wouldn't have gone through the whole school, but did coeducation have any effect on you?
I didn't like classes, as you probably know, but so I like cricket. So of course, when the girls arrived a year after I was there. So 70, I went 75. I think the girls arrived in 76. And at that stage, I was into so much sport that I didn't really see that much of the girls until I got a little bit further down the school. And at that stage, you know, I won a scholarship and sort of moved off to England. But I know I think there was actually a distinct drop off in cricket in the times that we, you know, since the girls arrived. Not their fault, of course, but you know, boys will be boys, won't they? And perhaps you don't want to be sweaty when there's girls around, or you want to be the cool guy, don't you? I wasn't one of them. I like cricket, and I wanted.
Bruce is smiling, but I want to get back to that scholarship that you were able to procure. Was that a scholarship that I know that right now lots of Combermerians get scholarships as well, but how were you able to get a scholarship back in that time?
Well, it was actually I think it was probably the first scholarship that was given out, and this was a full scholarship. It wasn't. My mom didn't have. I mean, my mom was a maid, and my dad was a carpenter. There's no way we could afford anything like that. So it was a full scholarship, and I basically the Malvern College had toured Barbados during the summer of, I think it might have been 79 or 80, something like that. And I played against them and frightened the cahoots out of them. And they wanted to, and they decided that they wanted me to come in and play for them and of course study. So that's how it came about, really. A bit of luck.
Wow.
Well, you need us.
Yeah. No, but when
it was a lot of luck because I was supposed to play that game that day. And what happened, I secured a job at the Barbados Lumber Company doing something you call checking prices in town. I don't know what it's called, but I am so glad. And I say it now, I say it again. And I want you people out here to listen well. I am so glad that Ricky Alcott got that scholarship. Because if I had gotten it at that time, I don't think any other person that ever went to Combermere would get a scholarship. I would have destroyed that opportunity. Because my focus would have been just on cricket. And that is where it would have fallen down. Yeah. My focus would not have been on balancing cricket and academics. I would have destroyed that with honors. And I say now what I say again, I write it in the paper tomorrow. I am glad, and I told Ricky so too, I am glad that Ricky got that scholarship because he did justice to it and he made himself with Combermere and his family very, very proud. And myself, he made me proud as well too. So I feel like I got the scholarship.
But Doc, you know that one of the things that being someone that brings being around in cricket.
Mute your mic. Go ahead. Go ahead, Bruce.
You know, in my stint as a manager over the last, close to 20 years at Combermere, one of the things that was missing in that time in comparison with our time. Ricky said when girls came in, perhaps they fall off of cricket because guys don't want to get sweaty and thing on mornings or whatnot. But we played cricket. We tried to get to school early to play cricket before assembly. We started a game at lunchtime. We continued the debate that we could have after school. And a cricket match, sometimes Springs would tell you, or Ricky, that we would play a cricket match not for 3 days. We play a cricket game until somebody wins. And that sometimes that take 5 weeks and 6 weeks, right? But I would believe that most of the sweaty things, like that thing and whatnot, came in after we left school. But again, the guys perhaps had another outlet in terms of to practice because the guys, as you know, we have nets.
Mm-hmm. You're muted again, Bruce, for some reason. Bruce, you're muted. Yeah.
Whereas we took every opportunity to
muted again. I'm wondering if there's something crawling around on Bruce's computer or tablet. There's something strange going on there. Yes, Bruce, you're back with us.
Yeah.
No finger movements.
You're hearing me now?
Yeah.
I was saying that I believe that we played more cricket at school in our time, before school, at lunchtime, and after school than in the last 20 years. These guys will wait until practice to practice. We took every opportunity to play cricket.
Okay. Looking back at this legacy again, we see that Combermere won the Division I championships in 1940-41, and we won the under 15, the round 3, first in 1963. Sagari Sobers International in 1987, and a Sajikor Shield Cup as well, Shield title. Are there any victories Hendy, that you can remember, you know, in your time that Combermere was able to achieve?
Yes. The Gary Sobers Trophy in 1987 was significant because that is the I think that was the last year that Roland Holder carried the team at school, and that was the beginning of my tenure as a cricket coach. I was, you know, it was like a guinea pig. It used me as a guinea pig, for want of a better word, to learn how to coach. I'm still learning up to today, but that was my first victory or championship as a coach. I mean, some tremendous people, good leadership, playing against teams from overseas, guys coming from a stronger cricket background, but better prepared, and they have had a lot more things, you know, going for them, you know, than the guys at Combermere as far as I was concerned. But that was outstanding to me, and that really set a good tone for my coaching career. Two, you had some guys who would have played for the West Indies in that same Combermere team, Hendy Bryan and Roland Holder, and Brian Lara was playing for his school team that year as well. I remember Combermere beating
Fatima.
But he was a Fatima at Combermere. Hendy Bryan getting Brian Lara caught at leg gully with a short pitch delivery. It was 1987, and that started. That was a tremendous win for Combermere because Brian Lara was even then was an outstanding batsman, albeit he stood alone in that Fatima side. But that is, to me, where it all started in relation to Combermere, because as a player, I was never part of winning. No, I'm lying. In 1975-76 on the 15 trophy, Ronald Tree. I think that's the only cricket trophy that I would have won at school as a player, you know. But as a coach, then I think that is where it all started for me as a coach, and it is tremendous that it could have started at Combermere. And that victory was significant because of many guys, and England as well had a number of players who were their school side who went on to play international cricket as well.
Well, you mentioned Roland Holder, who was yes, sir.
Yes. So Wes and Michael Small are with us.
Okay, so Wes, okay. I have to welcome
Michael Small.
Yeah, so that's fantastic. Well, we know that Wes is one of our icons, and he's been one of the best fast bowlers in the entire world, and he's also been a cricket administrator, a manager. He's been a minister of tourism. He's been in pastoral duties. He's a great orator, and he is one of our icons. And I'm really happy to have Sir Wes here. So Wes, how are you doing? I'm looking for him. I'm sure that his technical gurus will work on that for him. So Andrew, you said so Wes, and who else is here?
Michael Small.
Michael Small, okay. Flats and Small.
No, Michael.
Am I okay now? Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. Yes, we can hear you. We know that very well.
Yeah, I just wish to be excused for being late because I was in a hurry coming down the stairs and hit my knee to the wall, and I'm in a little bit of trouble. But for Combermere, I'll be here. Don't worry.
Oh, I'm sorry, Wes. You're gonna have to use some compression and ice and rest and elevation. Yeah. I can give you some medical advice.
The doctor is here, so I have no problem.
Yes. Well, I'm glad you're here, so Wes, and I know that you're also here in the capacity for, relating to our pavilion. But I was wondering if, before we get into the cricket proper, if Mr. Watson wanted to do that section now, or should I continue my discourse with Sir Wes?
Continue now, man.
We can do it now if Basil and the rest of the team is ready.
I'm here. I'm here.
Wayne Worrell, are you ready to go?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm here. Just give me a few seconds to do a little bit of setting up. But I should be able to start within a minute or two.
Well, I think there's a good juncture to talk about the pavilion, and because we did mention facilities earlier. So I think in the interim, Mr. Watson, I'd allow you to do the introductions and for this part and carry on smartly.
I will leave it to Basil Levine to start the presentation off, accompanied by Wayne Worrell, who is the designer of this complex. When we started, we had the name as the Pavilion, but things have evolved and it's become more than that. But I will let the upcoming video speak for itself, and I would suggest everyone sit tight, and you're in for a good presentation.
Well, we did mention about we compared the facilities at Combermere and indeed in the West Indies with those in the international arena. We realized that we are lagging somewhat. So this initiative is something that maybe your group thought was necessary and could boost the fortunes and the development of Combermereans in the future.
Absolutely. It's a collaborative effort between the Old Scholars in Barbados and the U.S. alumni. And I think out of that, that collaboration and also the assistance from the likes of Ricky Alcock, Henderson Springer, and just to name a few, we think we've produced something that I think Combermereans will be proud of, and it would add to the rich legacy of sports at Combermere.
Considering we've had a recession for an extended period and now COVID, it is admirable that this initiative is something you're working on. I guess we should thank you profusely.
I'd thank the entire group of individuals who are trying to make this possible.
Plural.
You know, yeah. Without any further ado, let me see if Wayne is ready.
Yes, please. Okay, we're going to do a screen share for this?
Yes, please.
All right. All right, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Wayne Worrell, a builder, designer, a Combermerean, up and on. Thank you very much for inviting me to do this presentation. I will try to keep it as fast as possible. Combermereans should be familiar with what they're looking at. This is obviously the Combermere grounds. And the idea is that we want to place the sporting complex. Sorry, it's just that this thing went over all of my buttons here. The Zoom changed. All right, here we are. All right, this is Combermere ground, and if it is that to identify a few points quickly. Right, this would be the Old Pavilion, number 8 being the Old Pavilion. This is the north-south arrow. Number 10 being the center of the area where we would have the current pitch. Number 9, I think it is in this area, is the bowling nets. Number 1 is the proposed entrance for the area. And number 3, the big 3, is where we propose to place the pavilion. Okay, when we look at the various boundaries, the minimum and maximum distances recommended by ICC, etc., the ideal field based on their recommendations would be along these boundaries here. And if you notice, there's certain discrepancies, like the bowling area being cut across or encroaching on the field. And what we're trying to do is not just build the sporting complex in a sensible location, but to do it in a way that it complements the entire development of the area. Let me move straight on to the structure. Okay, what you're looking at here is the the infrastructure of the sporting complex. This would be the area that would carry the foundation, and a lot of the beam network on every floor would look like this. This would interest builders and engineers, etc. But moving right along, let's get straight into the ground floor. All right, this is the ground floor. If you notice, there's a changing room on the left, the home side and the away side. And just trying to go as quickly as I can, the changing rooms are designed to carry about 16 people. There's actually another row of chairs that's supposed to be here. And the dressing areas are designed to properly accommodate the gear, the full gamut of things that you would normally associate with a modern changing room. Right, this is the bathroom area. What we're trying to do is we did lots of research. It was lots of discussion about bathrooms and individuals not comfortable with many of the arrangements that they see. A lot of these arrangements are cultural, meaning just an open shower where everybody shower together, etc. And doing local research among Combermereans and other sports people, this is what we came up with. We have 4 cubicles, 4 individual cubicles that would allow you to enter and do whatever you need to do, change, bathe, etc. in the area and leave all dressed. The idea is that we envision that in the future, apart from the fact that there will be lots of girls participating in sports, there are more girls than boys right now. We can even have mixed teams, etc., and individuals wouldn't feel threatened in any way because these walls go right up and they would be able to go into their own cubicle. Apart from that, you would have a dressing or changing area for the umpires. You have over here the general bathrooms for others to use in this area. And over here, you would have the disabled or the differently abled bathrooms. Over here is a storage area. And in fact, right here is reserved for the elevator. The idea is to have an elevator because the ramp necessary for a complex of this size would be significant, and you will see exactly what I'm referring to soon. Along the way, there are lots of opportunities to place pictures, etc., all throughout the area, and in the center of it is reserved to be a gym or some sort of whatever sporting activities that you want to use down there for, but obviously a gym is one of the main things that comes to mind. Over here, there's an office area and a first aid physiotherapy room that we'll also have in this area. There's lots of storage, and as I mentioned, the away space. At the front of the changing rooms, we call this the padding up area, and they can open up here and access the field if they want to make a small, short walk, and need to put on your stands. This is the positioning of the ground stands. This is where some of the spectators will sit. If you notice, it is curved and it intentionally have a space in between for the simple fact that the problem that most pavilions have is that the bottom of it often carries poor ventilation, very little sunlight, etc. So the pavilion is facing the wind side, and by opening up this area, you will have an influx of wind and sunlight, etc. in this particular area. I also mentioned lots of spaces to hang pictures, memorabilia, etc. But one of the key features Right, this is the pavilion. One of the key features is this wall here. This wall is supposed to carry the names, and forget that crazy little writing is just for example purposes. But the writings of some of the achievers or great sportsmen, I understand that this is not necessarily going to be limited to cricket. These just great sports people, and they would walk through the two walls of fame as they enter the field. So that is the suggested route for entering and leaving the field. The stands themselves are supposed to capture the idea is to do something called a green amphitheater, but this is not exactly a green amphitheater. A green amphitheater should really be soil and grass, but this is synthetic grass on concrete to give you that same look where the whole stand itself blend in with the grounds a little bit better. All right, going upstairs. Okay, we are now going to take a look at the main floor. This is my favorite floor. This is a floor designed not just for entertainment, but is designed for entrepreneurs to be able to, you know, generate some sort of revenue for the structure itself. What are we looking at here? What you're seeing is a bar type area with a kitchen and a bar type area with a kitchen in the back here. This is storage for the kitchen. This is an office space. There is bathrooms, male and female bathrooms, and there is the differently abled restroom, and it is also another restroom on the other side for, it is reserved to be a private bathroom, but it's also set up in such manner. The elevator comes up also onto this floor, and we have two rooms that can be used or rented. It's really supposed to be what the lords call the tea room, but also it can be rented, used for meetings, conferences, etc. And the ideal situation here is that the entire structure can open up and you would be able to see and sit large numbers of individuals for functions, whether it's weddings, parties, etc. The area to the front of the sitting room, not the sitting room, the tea room, is the balcony. I call it the lower balcony or the lower terrace for that area. It is set up. And I'm just trying to go as fast as possible here. Got me throwing my words and sounding silly. And I want to go on to the next floor as soon as possible. All right, this is the area, how it looks open up completely from the back. And all along here is supposed to have pictures, memorabilia, etc., to honor many of the notable achievements that have been mentioned here tonight. On that note, moving on to the next floor. One of the key features is the feature wall. This feature wall is designed to carry screens, live screens, similar to that of a sports bar. It also carries on this stage area a little, people call it a catwalk. Yes, I've been having some issues where my system is misbehaving. But after a minute or two, I think it should be okay. Well, a few seconds, I hope. There's a feature wall, there's a catwalk on this area, and there's the VIP balcony. This is the main balcony. And over here is a type of gazebo type room. Can be used again for functions, etc. Around that particular room carries a planter, a place, you know, for vegetation, which would add, I think, a lot of appeal to the area, whereby you can, you know, the mixture of concrete and wood and a bit of vegetation in the area. And this is the feature wall from the top floor, whereby it is almost in alignment with your eyes from the top floor. If you also notice that the entire top floor is open, so you have a vaulted ceiling. Right, you have a vaulted ceiling, so, and also the two ends of it, I call them a type of gazebo type roof. These roofs are also elevated so that you can have a wonderful, appealing area that you can relax and enjoy the game, entertainment, etc. And then these are the roofs that go on. We're trying to put them all on as fast as possible. But the system is being a little bit impolite. Okay. And here we go. And this is what we are looking at. That is it without the doors, and this is it with the doors. Okay. And that, in a nutshell, I know I don't really do justice to the entire thing, is the pavilion or the sporting complex. And hopefully at some point I can get to do a little bit more justice to it. This is scenes from inside, like if you're sitting at the bar and looking up. In fact, if you're sitting down, you should be able to see a type of view up here with the various individuals that you're honoring, etc. The feature wall is designed with a blue and gold mosaic and white tiles. The idea is to make it look like a waterfall coming down. Right. All right. And I think that in summary is the pavilion, is the sporting complex. And forgive me, I try to be quick, but obviously quick didn't work out too well for me tonight. All right, Ian, that's it in a quick nutshell what we're attempting to do. Just remember, this is still in the draft process, and we're taking ideas, comments, suggestions, and I look forward to doing a proper presentation at some point in the future for any of you. Thank you.
I just want to take a minute and Basil, and we have a few comments from many of the folks who helped us get to this point. And Basil has a few words that he would like to say.
Thank you, Ian. Thank you, Dr. Ford, and thank you, the host of the CSO for this evening's session. Let me say an introduction. It gives me great pleasure to be able to speak on this facility. Remembering, as someone mentioned earlier, the very poor facilities that Combermere had going back in history. And it is noted that the school, despite having very limited facilities, was still able to produce men of valor and distinction. I speak particular reference to the winning of the 1940 First 11 Cup, when the school had a ground that was then called the Tub, and all their games had to be played away as members of the First 11 team. I don't know how many people know that despite the fact that the school didn't have much of a ground, while its other counterpart, Harrison College and the law school, had extensive ground and extensive facilities, the school was still able, after entering the First 11 competition in 1928, to win the cup in 1928 with very limited facilities. But back to this one, it gives me great pleasure really though to look at what has happened since the idea of repairing the existing pavilion came to light. At that time, noting the parlous state of the existing pavilion, the masonry cracking, falling off, the guttering, the sides dropping off, even down to a good washing. And as a friend of mine in New York remarked, when an English newspaper decided to do a feature on the pavilion at Combermere Square and its cricket, they took a picture of Christopher Jordan and the then coach Roddy Essex sitting on a roller right before a very dilapidated and mossy looking building, which was almost of a disgrace. And therefore we've looked at this whole exercise, which has come as a major success. This whole is part of an exercise to establish and to confirm centers of excellence across the school. There's no doubt about it that this school has produced many outstanding sportsmen, but above all, cricket. If it is one area of sports that we can say we have attained the highest level of excellence, it is cricket. We've had outstanding footballers, of course, hockey and so on. When it comes to cricket, Combermere School has produced persons who stand beside, as Ricky said, students from the public schools in England with fantastic facilities. When we started, of course, money was a major constraint. And at that time, we were just looking to replace the timber seating boards to the front, doing a bit of some of the masonry, maybe modifying the back part of the pavilion, and a lot of the worm-eaten wouldn't work inside, the bathrooms and so on. That was the limit of our exercise. But then thanks to the old scholars here and the old scholars overseas, we decided we were able to stretch our horizon much further. And it was a matter of, I will have to give fantastic credit to the involvement of Ian and his group of the alumni in the US. We were then able to look at a much more substantial structure. At an early stage, it was made clear that we were not just looking to repair the existing. We wanted to have something that generations of Combermereans could be proud of. I had a look at the 3W's Oval Clubhouse. I had a look at the pavilion at Lodge School. And when this information was fed back, Ian and his group decided they wanted Combermere to be Combermere among the very best, representative of a symbol of excellence. And there we are tonight. We've had a tremendous effort by Wayne. Of course, there's a lot of interaction between Wayne and the group from overseas. I remember many nights working very late and WhatsApps messaging members back and forth. And we've got here this evening, and I'm very happy to be associated with it. I would like to believe now that when generations of Combermereans look back, among all the persons that we have produced as a center of excellence, we have a building, a structure that really represents a center of excellence in Combermere. And that's why I will leave my 2 bits. Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you, Basil. And I think Sir Wes may want to have a comment or two, because as part of the effort to get where we are today, we solicited his input throughout the whole process. And I think this is a vision that he himself is pretty proud of, and really welcomes the opportunity to see it completed. So Wes, if you want to go ahead and make a few comments.
Well, I'm very happy to be here tonight and to speak about 3 men, really. One is Ian, banker from New York, a Combermere, Basil, who is a man that has done everything for Combermere, and Mr. Worrell. I call him Mr. tonight because I want to honor him. I believe that anyone who's got so much talent, it's got to be family to Frank Worrell. And we're going to check his genealogy this week also. I would just like to say that these men met and they decided that they would like to have a pavilion. And obviously, someone just said, well, contact Mr. Worrell. They do not particularly believe in having narrative with one or two men. What they decided to do is to have a chat, and all Combermerians. And every Friday, every Saturday, right, really, they used to be on this chat. Fellows from USA, people from England, from Canada, and Barbados. And I must say that it was a font of knowledge. These men spoke so well. And the first thing they actually said, you know, a pavilion? And I said, no, we've produced a lot of cricketers, that is true. And let me tell you, we also have some hockey players. I remember when I was at Combermere, the Barbados team was just the 11 players from Combermere. It was as simple as that. And produced some of the best hockey players, some of the best singers, athletes. I remember Nanton. Nanton used to drum. You know, it wasn't the scissors thing. It was his whole body used to go over. And if he ever went the other way, like the proper way they go, then I reckon he would have gone. He went to the Olympics, but I think he would have won a few medals. Well, I think that, you know, we at Combermere, we don't win any Barbados scholarships. And I suppose that's because we're too busy in the fifth form, in the sixth form. And I think that, you know, that is what we are. We do the best things that we can do in other fields. So Combermerians throughout the world, you know, are giants in many fields. But that now brings me to Mr. Worrell and his magnificent creation. I just want to tell you that I have been all over the world playing cricket, obviously looking in at the pavilions they had, or whatever they call them. But I would tell you something, that pavilions were not designed to be pretty or anything like that. You know, a front and a back and two sides, and that was the way it was. If you look around Barbados, you'll see the same thing. So having a pavilion or, you know, any building, you know, that is like this one, that gave me a woo effect. It had a woo effect that bowled everybody, as I hope that you have bowled them tonight here. I think it is really, you know, really a fantastic thing that Mr. Worrell has done. I say so because, you know, pavilions are, as Hendy would know, he's gone all over the world. Pavilions are rooms not for comfort, you know. And one thing that I was so happy about this business here is that we at Combermere, someone said it earlier, we now have more ladies than men in our school. And some of them are fantastic cricketers and things like that. And nowhere in the world have women in the last 70 years never played at that standard. So nobody ever built anything for them. But we at Combermere now, when you look at this building, I must tell you this, it is fantastic for the ladies. Toilets and baths, you know, the differently able people. We have actually done wonders for them. I think it's the creme of de la creme of all pavilions or whatever you want to call it. But I would like to say that this is a fantastic, well, we haven't got any feedback as yet, but I can tell you, in my opinion, that this is a fantastic building that we are going to have. I only hope that the youngsters at Combermere will really treat it well, look after it, because the big thing now is to get the money, and I suppose the chairman will tell you about that. But I feel that he will get it because we at Combermere, we do it the right way. And I would just like to congratulate Mr. Worrell for this fantastic joint that he has given us tonight. This man, we only had to say to him, you know, we will like this, or we don't want that, and he will listen, and in the end, he will tell you what happened, and next week, he would come. Now, my two, you know, it is with me. I ran from a long distance bowling, so I can't take on these 10 feet from the bowling crease. So I'd just like to say that I am particularly happy to see that this business will be coming to Combermere. It certainly will be the creme de la creme of all pavilions or all facilities in Barbados, because I'm sure that by the time we are able to get it rented out and things like that, people of Barbados will have Combermere on their lips every day. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Sir Wes. And, you know, Andrew, I don't want to take too much time, but you know, if you can spare me, I know one of the individuals who wanted to make a few comments. We're also past Games Masters or head of the physical education department at Combermere, and that was, you know, Harcourt Wason and Michael Small. May want to just say a few words as to what they think the complex, as we're going to call it, the Combermere Sports and Recreational Center. So what this would mean, you know, in Harcourt's case as a past Games Master, and Michael Small as a current and for future. Let's keep it a little short, guys, because I know we've overstayed our welcome somewhat. Thanks. Go ahead, Harcourt.
All right. Good night, all. Thanks, Ian. And it's an honor to be here in this esteemed company. But when you're in a batting order and you're following Sir Wes, you know, that's nothing to really to boast about. But to be on the same team as Sir Wes is truly an honor. So I really thank you for this honor to make a few comments. And my tenure, I think I noticed that we referred very often to the Games Master. And I think I came in that transition from Games Master to physical education teacher, where the responsibility laid really with not only cricket, but with the an entire sports program. And I must say, I did have the honor of interacting with people like Ricky and Andy, Bruce, who are here tonight and made some comments. And at that time, we did have some outstanding cricketers, Roland, Hendy Bryan, Andy Cummins, and the list can go on. And these guys really did yeoman service for the school. For me personally, having gone to Combermere in 1966, and when I got there, what we refer to as a small field, now the Jack Adams field, that was, we had a few bricks, what was left of a pavilion. And then on the big field, it was a shell. Eventually, that shell, well, from that shell was demolished, and we then went into, we used the bicycle shed. Those of you who were in that era in the 60s and 70s will remember the bicycle shed, which is now the art room. The teams gathered under there, changed in classrooms, left their personal belongings in classrooms, and then moved from there back out to the bicycle shed. So it was really an inconvenience, not, very impersonal kind of thing. We moved from there, then on another shed was built where we assembled 2 changing rooms, no other facilities, no electricity, anything like that. But then in the 80s, under the PTA and Old Scholars Association, and Basil can speak to this, went about and constructed the courts, the basketball, netball, and tennis courts, and then went on the pavilion as we know it now. So that was an achievement, and I really thank those persons who made that possible, because at least it gave us a home in terms of a pavilion. However, that has now outlived its usefulness. And I was really elated to give my views on developing the development of this pavilion and our complex, as it is being called. And I think it is really something that I'm looking forward to. I had the honor as well recently to sit with some other people to discuss the national stadium, the new national stadium. And I think that if we can get this thing, this is something that we can boast about, that we can say is a state-of-the-art building. Wayne has done an outstanding job in his design. I really thank you, Wayne, for that. I thank you, Ian, and your team for the vision and, of course, the foresight. And as we have said in one of the meetings, this is not something that we want for 2021 or 2025, but we can look at in the future. We want to see it that in 20 years' time is something that has been established and constructed that we can build on. So I really, I would say, it's a job well done, good vision. Thanks to all who have made it possible so far. And I invite all Combermereans to be part of it. And in closing, I will quote from the school song. So let us press with eager feet up and on.
Thank you, Harcourt. And I know Michael Small, who is the current head of the physical education department, he may have or may want to say a few words from, current perspective. Michael?
Good night, everybody. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah. Yes, we can hear.
Right.
Good night.
First of all, thank you for the opportunity to speak in such esteemed company. And it's ironic that before I took the job at Combermere, Harcourt was the person in charge, and I'm speaking directly after him. However, first of all, let me say that I was invited to a meeting on Saturday, and I was simply blown away. And I want to give the assurance to Sir Wes and other people, the youngsters will take care of the property. Our job at the school, through the P department primarily, we will make sure that the youngsters understand that they are inheriting a great legacy, and they have a duty, it's their inescapable duty to protect it. Now, my contribution has to be small because quite a few people have spoken, but I just want to say a few other things. I want to say that I am proud to be at Combermere at this time. I heard Bruce talking earlier about the contribution of Roddy Eswick, and Bruce played a significant part in that. And I am happy to see that the facility will be all-inclusive, because we have had many sports people in different areas doing exceptionally well. And that's what we do at Combermere, because lives are in the making. Lives are in the making here. So it's no fluke that we have done so well, and we will continue to do even better in the future. So in closing, I will say that I am happy to be here. I'm happy to see what we are looking forward to getting. And all I will say is up and on. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you tonight. Up and on, gentlemen.
Thank you.
And ladies.
I just have a few words. So when we first, I guess by now everyone knows who I am. I'm Ian Watson, and I'm the president of the Combermere Alumni Association here in the US. So when we first collaborated on this project, Basil, Mark Ains, Hess Natron, and myself, we simply thought of refurbishing the existing pavilion. But as the discussion and expanded and the participants increased, we thought that the best option was to build a completely new structure. As you would have seen by now, the Combermere Sports and Recreational Center, as we would like to call it, would be a state-of-the-art facility, and it would solidify Combermere's sporting legacy and our very rich brand. This design is a product of the Old Scholars Association and the US alumni working together, along with our partners in England and Canada and folks, Antigua, who provided valuable input in this process. And, in order to realize this mighty undertaking, just to grab a little bit from the school song, we know that we would have to solicit some strong support from the alumni all over the globe. So I say to you, my fellow Combermereans, work has now begun, and now is the time for us to show that Combermere pride and get it on display. And we need folks from all disciplines to join in this effort to bring us to the finish line. In the upcoming months, we will conduct a series of fundraising events to help boost the finances to support this project. So we urge you to participate and contribute to those efforts. At a future date, we will probably give you another demo, much more in-depth, detail, and simulate a walkthrough process. So we look forward to bringing that to you in the future. So again, on behalf of the Combermere Old Scholars and the Combermere USA alumni, and the project team, for all those folks who stayed up on calls on Saturday nights and who were very much involved in the planning, I would like to thank them for their generous contribution. And we look forward to the support from all the other Combermereans, especially those on this call. We ask you to spread the word and get as many Combermereans involved in this project because we would need the help as we go forward. So I'd like to thank the Old Scholars for giving us an opportunity to present it. And I turn it back over to Andrew and his team. Thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot for presenting that ambitious plan, which I know we'll work hard to bring to fruition. I'm glad to have Suez here because we were talking to Mr. Cox and Mr. Elcock and Mr. Springer, and they're all from the 70s and onwards, but having Suez here gives us a chance to go a little bit further, go a little bit before that. So Suez, I'm going to engage you now for a bit. First thing I want to do is to connect those to the generation of the 70s and until today to the generation prior to that. And first talk about that Combermere Week, that Old Scholars game and what it meant to you as an older Combermerean then, before we talk about some of the great Combermereans of your era that helped to build our rich legacy. So first, Wes, tell us about the Old Scholars game and what it meant to you, and rubbing shoulders with the younger guys and also with some of your contemporaries as well.
Thank you very much. Well, when I was at Combermere, from 1950, I walked in there and found that we had people like Raul Branca, Peter Lashley, who were, great players, good players at school. the best player I've seen in my life, from, I would say, from age about 12 to 15. I've never seen a better player than Francis Scott. And his one mistake in life, really, as far as cricket is concerned, is that he felt that, you know, bowlers, he said, bowlers don't bowl good balls, batsmen make good balls. And that's all right on the 19, on the 12 and on the 15 and things like that. But if you ever have to back to people that put the ball on the spot 90% of the time, you'll understand that is why he didn't play for Barbados. But what used to happen is he would make the prettiest 50 and get out. And then you get Ashley and Brankin, these fellas, they're a lot slower, but they're not getting out. And they get hundreds and they get in the team. And poor Scott, they make the team until I think he went away to Bahamas and, you know, got to 200 at Sabina Park playing against the Jamaican team, but they didn't understand who's this guy. So that team that we had, we found that our team used to beat all the old boys. I mean, and for about 5 or 6 years, I don't think the old boys has ever got near that team. And they were young. I mean, you know, when Peter Lashley started to bat, play for Combermere in the second 11, he, all in short pants, as you know, he could hardly hit fours, but he bat long. And, you know, over a period of 4 or 5 years at school, by the time he left school, he was nearly a West Indian player. So yeah, those games were very good. On the other foot now, when I became an old boy, I thought that we always wanted to win. And I kept the team for about 10 years and never lost. But we had some very good players. These same fellas were 32, 33, 34 stop test cricket, but they were still very good players. So we want to remember, I always loved playing that game because once my son Sean, he was at the school here, and he told me, Daddy, look, I was in the Senate and I was coming up, I was captain, and he said, Daddy, don't come too early. You know, the boy all okay. He's so fast, I don't want you to face him. I said, okay, so I didn't go too early. Not that I am a coward, but I thought the others would want to have a go. And when I got to the Combermere, the score was 25 for 6. So when the other man got out, I went out and Sam Sam Wilkinson. Sam Wilkinson was about 6 not out. And I said, what happened? He said, this fella so quick, guys. I don't know. I just murdered here today. So I said, listen, who's the captain? Funny enough, the captain was Dr. The guy with the in Parliament. Anyway, and I said, do you understand why we play these games? He said, yes, sir. I said, why? He said, so that the youngsters will be able to mix with the old fellas. I said, yeah, do you have spinners? He said, yes. I said, who? He said, I am. I said, come on. He came on. Yeah. He came on. And when he brought back on the fast bowler, I was about 77. And I made 100 the other day. And I am very happy about that because I made 300 in my life. One at Combermere, one against Combermere, one against Foundation. And if you think that is not a good thing, well, the other one was at Cambridge in England in 1961, I think it was. So those are my 300. So those games were very well fought. And, you know, the youngsters always like the idea of mixing with the good cricketers. Combermere, old boys were very good teams, and the youngsters were very eager to play with them. So I think that it was a good thing. I don't think they do it now. In the last few years, I noticed that we had different organization. But it's a good thing to get your youngsters playing against those old boys. So I think that, you know, that has been good. Peter Lashley, Rod Branker, Scott, you know, they will all come here and to this ground and do very well. So I think that is pretty good stuff.
Okay. Before we get some other input, so Wes, tell us about some more about the stalwarts you played with. You mentioned I think Peter Lashley, and I guess you would have played with many others. Tell us about some of the other Combermereans and what it was like being a West Indian player with any of those guys.
Well, I could tell you that there are 3 boys who never played for Barbados. I am sure if you're playing now, they play for the West Indies. And Scott would definitely have played. And I call Victor Callender. Victor Callender was a left-hand batsman. He'd be a good 2020 man. And Scott was a fantastic player. And it's amazing that, you know, when I was at Combermere, I got a lot of runs in the second team. But Mr. Hughes said, well, you know, unless you the 2-dimensional, you can't get in the side. And everybody had to back and bowl or do something. And you see, he could bowl, and I don't know. And he gave me a book called Behind the Stump. He gave me a stump behind the stumps. And I became a wicket keeper. So that shows you what could happen. I mean, when I left school, I was 17 years old. And, you know, I went keeping at Cape Barbados. And the guy asked me to bowl. And I, you know, didn't want to do it. I can't bowl. I've never bowled anywhere. And he said, you saw me? He said, I saw you in the nets. I said, well, there are only 4 people practicing. Somebody got a bowl. And, you know, and I never bowled a ball. And the thing is that they're playing wonders. And I took the ball and ball anybody who knows Cape Awareness in Border Hall, the ball used to swing a foot. I got 7 for something. And within 8 months, I was playing for the West Indies. So it just shows you that, you know, you may be a novice at something, but, you know, I'm not saying that at 19, 18 and 19 I was ready, but, you know, people see a little talent and you're thrown into the Lions and you have to, you know, now learn the ball.
Yeah, be nice.
So,
just very interesting. I'd like you to, I'd ask a question to Hendy and the others as to regarding when they entered Combermere, if they were aware of the cricketing prowess and you know, the history that was there, and if they came into Combermere being lovers of the game. What was it like for you when you first entered Combermere?
Oh, long ago, before that, I used to go and watch Combermere playing every Saturday. A fellow called Neville Grant. You had people, Huffy Knight, another fellow, okay, Wilkinson, I could call them off, and that's over 50 years or 60 years, 70 years ago. And I used to go to Combermere every Saturday and watch them. And I was at St. Giles, and when I was 8 years old, I said, I want to do 2 things. I want to go to Combermere because of the cricket, and I am going to play for the West Indies. I had no cricketing DNA or anything like that. People used to slap me around my head and tell me, try and go home, boy, and things like that. But, you know, and I didn't only play for Combermere, but and play for the West Indies, but I dare say I coached them, I managed them, and then I ended up as president of the West Indies Cricket Board. So you never really know what you can do. That's why I always tell the fellas that there's a life after cricket. So get the education, you know, it's free now. So I think that's what you have to do. So that's my take on that one.
So as there's talent, there are aspirations, you know, a vision, there's facilities, there's coaching, there's so many aspects that come together to make a cricketer. What do you think what do you think is the most important out of all of those different aspects?
Well, you know, when we were boys, there was a lot of cricket playing. There's more organized cricket now, but we used to be playing in every road, in every gap, you know, and all the old fellas, World Weeks and Walker and those fellas, you know, they played tip and run firms. People don't know what's tip and run firms now, but you have about 16 men in front of you. And if you hit the ball, every time you hit the ball, you got to run. So you got to learn to, you know, open the face of your bat and go past third man. Or if the fella going your pass, you don't hit it to the fella there, you flick it and things like that. So, and then if you play a hopping ball cricket, the hopping ball is coming around your head, so you hit on top of the bunks. So if you go to Australia and New Zealand, the fellas bowling at 80 miles an hour and knocking you down, that won't happen. So playing on the beach, you know, people will not believe this. They say there's nothing called pace. A ball doesn't gather pace. You try on the beach, the wave come up and then recedes, and the fella come on board at the same time. That is the sort of thing you have to do. So, and then if you're playing in the road, they have a lot of cars. So you're playing in the road, and you know, so Everton Weeks used to talk about the ground eater. You say, you know, what's a ground eater? I'd say, yeah, the ball that does not leave the ground. So your back lift has to be down here. So yes, what you're saying is true. And there's a lot more coaching in the under 11s. Barbados, I'm sure, has on the 15, on the 7, on the 19, and things like that. I just finished a book yesterday, and I was going to really give my thinking on West Indies, but I never heard of that. You can't tell the youngsters anything. You know, if you say anything, you get cursed or something like that. So, you know, you just don't even feel like saying anything. But I would say that Barbados has done very well. There's no doubt about that. I mean, I don't see any Barbados players, you know, men bowling at 80 miles an hour and pushing you back in the wicket. I'm not, I'm not talking against the other fellas, but what happens now is that the selectors have to play fellas who get 250s or 350s, but that fella, his technique might be really, you know, bad, and we haven't got an academy, and an academy, you don't, you know, you don't go to an academy to be a good player. You have to be a good player to get in the academy. Okay. You see, I find that I don't know how long we can survive where we are now if you don't have an academy. So that's the sort of thing that I would like to talk about.
Okay, I mean, you it's interesting because the old boys match was to help to amalgamate the different generations and help them to communicate and to feel at ease talking to each other. But you have mentioned an aspect of not being able to communicate with the present day player because of, you know, an obstinance, or I guess they may feel that you played a different game. But I will digress a little bit. I know we heard from our grounds master, our present games master, Mr. Small, and I know we've gone from the 70s onward, and with Suez we've gone back, but I don't know if our present games master, I think it's Mr. Small, can tell us of the names of a few cricketers at Combermere that we can look forward to in the future. If you could just mention a few names. If that's not possible, we will engage Bruce and Ricky and also the others with Suez. Mr. Small, are you still there?
Yes, I'm still here. We have Jaden Leacock, who I expect to go on to do some great things. Romario Roach, who is on scholarship in England at the moment. There are quite a few, but I can't remember all the names right now.
Okay. Bolden.
Where Bruce would have a better take on the names since he manages the team. But
okay, Bruce.
As I said, we have great things planned.
Okay, Bruce, what?
I think we got young Bolden, who was just captain, and he made not the cut of the West Indies team, but he was close to. Jaden Leacock, as Mr. Small said, he's on the short list because of injury. He did not go to England, but they have him on the short list for the current West Indies under 19 team being prepared for the World Cup next year. We have Mr. Springer, Shamar Springer, who's gone off to county only this year. So those are the four names that really carry the cricket at Combermere right now. Unfortunately, those guys are young guys, and what those guys were missing are missing right now that our past cricketers had was somebody to look up to. These guys are young people, and these guys have to now take the senior role. See, there are no senior people for these guys to look up to or to ask any questions to, and so they're in the prime now of dealing with their game, and at the same time having to bring along the first, second formers that have just started to play cricket, because the school right now is going through a transition in cricket.
Okay, Ricky, we did mention there a youngster that got a scholarship to the UK just as you have, and we do know of some cricketers of recent vintage that have had the experience in the UK and the opportunity was so great they never came back. What's the difference between having that opportunity when you had it and now when the young promising West Indian player has that choice? How difficult is that decision regarding if they should stay or if they should come back?
Well, I mean, quite often it comes down to cash, and it comes down to money. I mean, what you could play, what you can earn by playing, by being a professional cricketer. You're coming back to the Caribbean, for instance, where it's either a recreational ground, a recreational game, or a development game. And I think that we have missed the boat a little bit in the Caribbean by not realizing that the things that happen in a professional game, you cannot use in a development game. It doesn't work. And consequently, you're going to get a leakage of players who are going to go to England, realize that the professional game suits them, but they don't have a professional game here, and they're going to stay. It's just as simple as that. There's nothing you can do about different to playing a guy to play a game that he loves. You just can't help that. And that if that's not happening here, it's going to happen in England, or somewhere else in the world. And that's a problem that we've got to realize and try and find somewhere around it. And I'm not so sure that the administrators in the Caribbean has quite worked that out as yet. They certainly didn't work it out in my time. And I think, that was 40 years ago when I went to England. And now, I think they're even further behind.
Okay. I guess you have really said something that resonates with what's happening here. I know Hendy would have been at school with me. We were at school with Frank Archer, who's young Archer's father.
Absolutely.
We're still trying to work out the genetics of that miracle. But Hendy, you would have been at that match that Suez talked about. I assumed that you were there. I guess I could get Ricky's take on it. Were you there at the match Suez was speaking of when Mr. Elcock was bowling a bit too fast, I guess? Were you
yes,
there?
yes, I was. I probably remember. Well, I probably played that match as well, and it was very tactful, very tactful on behalf of Suez. to work it like that. I mean, those are the days that you had respect for your high respect for your peers, your contemporaries, whatever the case may be. And I would tend to think that Cerez probably would have scored more than one century against the younger boys. If he didn't score more than one, at least he has some major impact on some other matches in one way or another. But I just want to go quickly back to this scholarships thing, because I'm on the committee of scholarships and attachments at Kensington over with the Barbados Cricket Association. And I guess listen, what happens, there are a number of schools, sixth form schools that want to engage some Barbadian youngsters because of their talent and because of their both academic talent and the ability to play cricket well. And the BCA supports them, and they go off to Britain and they play their cricket. And all of a sudden, they excel in both aspects. And it comes a time where they have to make a choice now, because these are sixth form schools. The next step may be university. The next step may be going to a place like Loughborough or going to some other university to pursue the stuff. But they tend to want to go to universities who have solid cricket programs. There comes a time that a comparison has to be made. And I have some discussions with these youngsters and some parents. And the first thing they do, they never look at the system that they're in, because they're in it and they know how it works. They look at what's happening to the West Indies, and they look and say, okay, well, this person has played well. And they've got a number of examples. This person has played well and only got to this level. So you see me, I stand a good chance of getting a county contract. And you know what happens to our Barbadians that play well? The next step is that you're in England 18. Check the youngster Bessel. He's in the 18. But we forgot to mention the name, Shea Simmons. Shea Simmons is a Combermere, but his grandfather, Mr. Keith Simmons, went to Combermere as well. Now he is doing well in that Birmingham area. He's playing for Warwickshire. What do you think would be the next step for him?
He's born in England.
When he comes back, when he comes back now to Barbados now, he will play a little under 19 cricket. How often does he on the West Indies on a 19 play? Is he going to get into a Barbados franchise side? All these type of things he may be thinking. He stands more chance of playing for a Scottish cricket in England than he does in the West Indies.
Absolutely.
And then he looks at the complete system and he says, you know something? If I play for England, I may play a 1, 2, 5, 7 test match, which means that I'm capped by my county, so I'm guaranteed X, Y, Z amount of money. Now, if I play for my county for a period of time, I am guaranteed a benefit. If I play for the West Indies and get dropped, what happens then? And you'll be amazed at the things that these youngsters sit down and because they follow the game. They follow the game very, very deep. And these guys do the comparative analysis very, very early when it comes to making decisions.
You're told that, Springs. I mean, I was told that at 17 years old, you got to make a decision whether you're going to play for England or whether you're going to play for the West Indies. West Indies team is too strong to get in. Therefore, you ought to put your chances here. There's a benefit. Up till now, I'm still receiving pension from the Professional Cricket Association in England. I did it. My degree was done by the Professional Cricket Association in England.
I hope Mr. Cox hears that you're still the beneficiary of the Professional Cricket Association.
Pension before the age. But Sir Wes, as a former administrator and chief administrator and manager, you would have rubbed shoulders with many of the younger cricketers. How do you think an administration can counter this drain, this talent drain that we have going on?
Well, if you don't get it in the counties, take Narine, for instance. I coached in Trinidad for 4 years, and I took a system that I found in Australia when I was playing out there, and I went back to Trinidad with it. And Narine, like any other West Indian, from the proletariat, and they gave him $750,000 US. It's $1,500 for Barbados. So it's $1 million Barbados. And then the West Indies want him to play. So he said, well, boy, I got to buy a house for my mother. People are on the estates and and he didn't pay. And then they then started snowballing him. And, it's a funny thing that he's been playing nearly 10 years now out there in India, and nobody snowball him. You know what I mean? And he's gone up in batting order, get a lot of runs, and he's played for 10 consecutive 10 consecutive years. You think you'll get him to play for the West Indies? You're not going to do it. Well, the captain has played 500 odd one days. He's never played one day for the West Indies in Test cricket. So that's the problem. I mean, my first tour in 1957, I got £7 a week. And I was working at Combermere, so I said, this is the money. I could have back. They wouldn't give me any big plays. So I said I could well be home. But if truthfully matter is, £7 in England in 1957, Everton came to me and said, where's the uncle? We only got, in 1950, they only got £5. West Indian player getting £5. And when they came back here in 1950, none of them, they can buy land in this country. The act was only passed in 1951. And, your first test match, the first match that you play is £7 a week, 106, $33.60. I know that. I used to have sent back that to my mother, so I know. And then the last test match I played 13 years after that, I got not test match, the series. And the series was thing. You go, anybody know, traveling from England to Australia by boat, that's a month. And coming back by boat, that's 2 months. Then you play 5 test matches in India, in Australia, and 3 in New Zealand. So there's a 9 months there for you, and you get, $1,000 US. Coming back on the boat now, the Sri Lanka, they hear about the West Indies. We only had six of us on the boat, and they wired us and asked if we would have a game if you come up. If you see people, only 10,000 people play, well, yeah, and we only had 6, so we got 5 fellas off the boat to come and play, and we got $6,000 each for that one day. And we won the match because Gary got 100, Seymour got another 100. All the fellas made runs, and Sherry and I bowled them out. That's all. And I'm just saying that to tell you what is happening. So you play a whole series. Everybody feel that, you're big test cricket and things like that. I mean, for 9 months' work, you get $2,000 Barbados. So you're from the proletariat, you see? And if you now have a son and he's a good cricketer and you could get him into England, what Ricky said is true. Suddenly, how come nobody in Barbados, they know that Bethel would play up there? You think those people easy? They would have, he's good education. His father went up there, and his grandfather was a Barbadian cricketer. So when he was 10 and 12, he knew he would play he would play for any team in the world.
Yes.
That little fella. He is so good. So they would have found out that. The same thing Ricky will tell you when the pace bowler. I don't remember what they did. It's a matter of qualifying. And, they moved from 7, not to 5, or from 7 down to 4 or 3. So, they know. And it happened when the people from South Africa, all of them came over, about 6 or 8 of them played, and things like that. So you talk about, in fact, you would think that Ricky is wrong, but he's so right. If a fella goes up there and they think he has the potential, they look after him. Okay? I think Mr. Springer will know, there was a gentleman here who sponsored, I think, for nearly 15 years, he sponsored fellas going up to England and all that shareholders and all them ended up there. You know what I mean? So you're not going to keep all, you're going to lose some.
Okay.
That's for sure.
Okay. Well, we've had the discussion about our legacy, and I'd like to touch base with each of you again to really find out how can we perpetuate the legacy that we've built at Combermere already. What do you see as the important things we need to keep doing? And I'll ask Ricky first.
The important things to keep the legacy going. But let me tell you something. The important thing in any walk of life is hard work. You know, if you're a pilot, if you're a doctor, no matter what you are, you have to work at it. And that's one of the things that I think is lacking in not just in Combermere or at this time, but in the world. You know, it's just a work ethic. If you don't have a work ethic, you're not going to proceed very far. I'm a pilot now, and some days I go into the toilet and I have to sit with my book reading because I have to continue to push forward. Otherwise, you fall by the wayside. That's as simple as that. And that's the main thing that we have to get across to all of the children that we have. You must work. It's not going to come easy. You must work for it.
Okay, Handy, as a present active coach, what does Combermere need? We're going to have a new pavilion soon, but what else do we need to keep things going for us?
Well, I heard Bruce say just now we're going through some transition period, but I think the thing that Combermere needs is the rebuilding of the cricket structure, there. And I will start off first because we all know the importance of playing cricket well, the benefits are out there, and every day, once the international players play, you can see it pushed in your face and advertised really, really well. I think we need a designated cricket teacher. Okay, we need a designated cricket teacher like how Roddy Eswick was, with a program that incorporates preparation, the physical aspect of preparation, the mental aspect of preparation, the technical aspect of preparation, the tactical aspect of preparation, and the lifestyles management aspect of preparation. But it is a solid program then. And then we also need the facilities that can host this preparation and lend to it. Both the indoor facility, which I may speak to sometime later, and the outdoor facility as well, because we have a resource facility of a number of knowledgeable people that deal with both cricket and coaching, because I believe that cricket and coaching are two different things. Right, but that's what we need to rebuild that, because we have a great history, a great history. We talk about legacy. We had a beautiful history. I believe that one of the things that when you enter Combermere, as well as learning the school song and the national anthem and the pledge, there should be some type of structured program that introduces you to Combermere, and you get a chance to see and hear from people who have walked that path before. You know, a structured program. Cricket, we have some people there with some beautiful examples. We have Suarez, and we got 99 others that would have played for Barbados. I am here sitting behind the list of some people that played for Barbados, not the West Indies. So I don't know if you had some people that played for Barbados. Oh Lord, man. Oh, gee. But we spoke about Dennis Atkinson and stuff like that. I like Suarez met Dennis Atkinson. I thought he was a very funny man. Right? He was used to call. He asked me to call him Gunner, but that would be another place. That was his nickname and stuff. But that was all. But we got a whole host of people going way back, because first of all, the guys that would have played for the West Indies would have played for Barbados as well too.
Yeah.
Right. And you're coming down the line. You start home. You got people like. Let me start here and work your way back. You got people like Justin Graves and Lanika Boucher and all those guys know that have not played for the West Indies. Some may play. But they have not played. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm sure Sir Wes would know him. And there was a gentleman called Williams that played for Empire. I remember him opening the batting and the bowling for Empire as a young man. He has passed on. You know, and there's a lot of people A lot of people from Combermere that played for Barbados. Of course, may not get the same kudos as the guys that would have played for the West Indies because they would have played a 1, 2, or 3 game for Barbados. But nevertheless, they excelled to a certain level. But I'm saying we got to get that back again and use that legacy as an example for those coming into school that are interested in playing cricket. I believe that cricket should be a compulsory sport in Barbados. It should be a serious part of the physical education program. And Harcourt, Mr. Rayson, and Mr. Small know about physical education. I believe that there's some cricket drills that lend themselves to proper movement and coordination, but that's a different story for a different time, right? And that is how we got to get it back again. We must build the structure first, create the environment first, so that when these youngsters come to Combermere from these schools, they come into environment. Is that is set there for already, like the police force. You don't go in the police force and change the police force. The police force changes you to suit what they want. The same thing for the defense force and a number of other hardcore organizations that set standards, that got a system of monitoring and evaluation as we go ahead. You know, so we have to do that. The guys cricketers are being made differently now. I use the word differently because they still feel young. You know, but cricketers are different now. They come with different motivations. So Rez had 1 or 2 motivations. Two games to work with. He had a first-class game of 4 days, or he had a test match, and that is what he aspired to. These youngsters coming now, some of them don't know a cricket bat from a vampire bat, but they may tell you that they want to play T20 cricket. They tell you they want to play 1-day cricket. Manda first-class cricket too long. So when I spoke about money just now, the guys that play for the franchise that get the lowest amount of money in regional cricket get $1,500 a match. That's 4 days, $1,500 a match for 4 days. I mean, if you play 40, but finish the game in 3 or 2, but you still get the 1,500. And you can imagine the guys who would have played Test cricket, what they get. I don't want to speak to that now either, but they get a T20 franchises, what they get. So those guys come and see the money, they don't see the process. But we've got to incorporate those guys, what the process is, because the difference between a club and a school is that you have to go to school. A club, you can find an excuse not to be there. But a school, you have to be there. And I think it is about building the environment. Again, I don't want to be too long with it, but I had those couple of things to say. Yeah. You've got to build the environment, and this goes for any field of human endeavor, either in or outside the school. I guess the hockey can use the same, the athletics, etc. Let us build the environment first there, designated teachers, and a strong, all-encompassing program.
Well, passionate and relevant. Bruce, the others have said a lot, but I'll let you have your say.
Well, 2 of my very good friends, as you know, 3 of us very close. Ricky and I taught West Indies, Barbados, and Combermere cricket. When he's here, when I'm by him in England, sometimes you get tired. I just passed by him this evening, talking cricket again. It's all right, we gotta go and prepare for tonight. Springs, a mentor to me. Whenever I have any problems, he would tell you about managing or Combermere cricket, because apart from managing under Mr. Eswit, I played a role as a help coach or whatever the case may be. Because many times Mr. Eswit was off on duty, I had the role of taking over the team in a perspective. And I would give Springs a call and ask him a few things and whatnot. But before I go any further, let me say, I had the honor of captaining the Old Scholars team with Sir I saw.
Oh.
And when I contacted him, he told me he would be late. But whenever he comes, he wants to come on the field just for 2 overs. And I said to him, sir, it is your game. Because the trophy was named after Sir I saw. And I kept that trophy at my house. Well, not at the school, for a couple of years, for a number of years.
It's still there. Okay.
No, it's mashed up. No, actually. Trying to get repaired, but had the honor to captain Sir I saw in an Old Scholars game. But back to the what we would take now, because despite everything Hendy said fundamentally, I have the honor to be on the ground with the boys at the school under Mr. Small and by extension Harcourt, because despite Harcourt is not at the school, he's still very, very interested in what's happening, like all Old Scholars. What we had and what we had that pull us along to is Old Scholars. For instance, when we had problems with, and Mr. Small could tell you, when we had problems just the other day with covers, we went to the present boys who were playing out, Craig and those boys, and we just said, we have some problems with covers, we need some help. And Craig said to us, give me a call back. It was like in a couple of days' time, and we had covers. The school right now, we, as I said before, personnel. It's easy for people to sit down and say, man, since Roddy Eswick gone, the school gone down in cricket and whatnot. But we can only play with who we have. We can only play with who come through the gate. And right now, with Mr. Small and myself, and example, just the other day, as you will know, Doc, the BCA brought out a fixture to start cricket. Yeah. And we sat down as a Combermere body and we said, we are not ready to play this cricket. With a number of schools also saying they are not ready. But the only school that was carried across the course in the social media and everything was Combermere.
Yeah. Expectations. You gotta.
And I guess as you said, expectations, because the high standard that we've set over the years, people don't expect us not to have a team or not to go to a team. And we said to ourselves, along with some old scholars, we said, okay, we can make this happen. But like Mr. Small said to me, we're not going to talk about Combermere problems or cricket on social media. We're going to get together, we're going to discuss it. And in a matter of 2 weeks, with the help of some old scholars, including Pedro Graves and ground staff, we were ready for the season. Unfortunately, it didn't happen.
Unfortunately.
Right. But as I said, we need everybody to be on board, but we got to have boys at the school to work with. And we have that right now in place, but do not expect it will happen in a year or 2 years. These are youngsters right now that are taking up all cricket in second and third form that have to know billing. Unfortunately, we had 2 years not playing cricket. So that's where we are. So we need everybody on board. Just want to say, I hope that I can live long enough for myself, Springs, and Ricky to have a beer or whiskey in that new complex.
Old scholars, at an old scholars game.
Okay. Well, really and truly, I would see the complex as some place now where we don't have to wait until old scholars week or old scholars game. It should be some place that I can come after work and know I can meet you, Doc, there, or Lou, or somebody, and have a drink.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So
and talk about, Combermere building things and nation building things. Yeah. But
so we need everybody on board. As I said, finishing. But we need that. Once we have boys coming, things will get done. Mr. Small have assured me in his time left, which was supposed to be soon, but I don't think that he could go anywhere right now. Along with outside help, Harcourt, Ricky, Springs, old scholars. Listen, because when I told the boys in the past, you might not see Combermere's watching us play. But when we perform poorly, I get phone calls from Sunday morning back down. Frank Gill want to know what's going on. This buddy want boost what's going on. This buddy want to know what's going on.
Come to the board.
You understand? So it's a legacy, not only just now, but it goes way back. Way back. And we are going to get back where we were. I can assure you that.
We need to get all hands on deck to do that. I know that we could stay here all night, but of course, we wouldn't do that, but we cannot. I mean, I'm trying to round off the discussion now. I know we said we'd go maybe 90 minutes, but I think we've been going 2 hours maybe and 10 minutes. So I think it would be fitting to end with our most illustrious Combermerian here.
Mr. Ford, Mr. Ford.
Yes,
Mr. Ford,
sir.
sorry, sir. May I make one more point quickly?
Yes, certainly.
Right, and just to let the audience know, or just to remind the audience, I will start off by saying that Barbados and West Indies cricket needs Combermere School. Right? Barbados and West Indies cricket needs Combermere School. Combermere has provided West Indies Cricket Board presidents. It's provided directors of West Indies Cricket Board. It has provided West Indies Cricket Board with managers, both team and internal managers. It has provided West Indies Cricket Board with head coaches, assistant coaches. It has provided with physios, fitness trainers, analysts, journalists, etc. Right? It has provided West Indies Cricket Board with a lot of good cricketers and some tremendous peripheral people, support staff, you call them now. I was the most surprised man to go in the club in Georgetown, Cricket Club in Border, and see Sir Wes sitting with the West Indies team from the early 70s in a suit. And I was saying to myself, Sir Wes had to be the manager. But then I see coach in the brackets. I don't know if Sir Wes remember. I saw coach in brackets and I never knew that Sir Wes would have been part of coaching a West Indies team. And you learn again. We provided the West Indies with some tremendous people, both playing and ancillary staff, as they call them. West Indies and Barbados cricket needs Combermere to be on top of their game. Yes, and I have had association with all the Combermeres that would have represented West Barbados since December 2000 for 15 or 16 years at the Barbados level. I know well. I see they operate different to other people. Okay, they come with this sun. They always blame me for bringing Combermeres to play cricket for Barbados, but none have disappointed or disrespected neither myself or Barbados cricket nor Combermere.
And what I can say, Henry, to endorse that, Henry, what I can say, Mr. Esme always said to the cricket team, do not leave anybody to go into a selector's room to argue for you. Always pick yourself by performing. And one of our guys, or one of our own, had just done that in the CPL. Ross Sanchez just picked himself out the blue by performing outstanding. I mean, yet still, he isn't being rewarded yet.
Maybe tomorrow. But Sir Wes is here. I mean, Sir Wes, we're so happy to have you. We can't express how grateful we are that you've taking your time to come and speak with us. You're always a man we like to listen to. I hope your knee isn't really swollen and that you'll be okay. But if you have problems, you can contact me. But in the last few minutes that we have, that we'd like to round off, maybe about 9:30, I'd like to give you the floor, Sir Wes, to talk about how we extend the legacy and anything you want to discuss in the time that's left. The floor is yours, Sir Wes.
Thank you, sir. First of all, apology to Ricky. You know, I have spoken about his bowling as a schoolboy. I never talk about past. I tell you.
Apologies accepted, Wes.
Yeah, but I thought I hit you for 2 6s. And I should have told them that we were playing on the small ground. And before they get my back up, so it hit the top of the back, and right straight to the headmasters, and was twice, 2 6s. And I never saw either one of them. So that's it. So, you know, the situation, I just finished my book. Yeah. And I take out the mask and didn't worry to say, I didn't say a word about the destiny because, I don't know, people don't take, you know, criticism or anything. You don't want to criticize all people. I only hail for one team, you know, destinies. I like different bowlers and batsmen in other teams, but I am a West Indian. No, Ricky said, what was your number one, Raheem?
Sorry?
What was your number one in terms of these youngsters? What they must have?
My number one?
Yeah.
Hard work, I think. I think he said hard work.
Hard work, yeah.
Hard work.
Oh, okay. Well, you know what you need is discipline.
Discipline.
To tell you, you see this boy, Hetmer?
Yeah, absolutely.
That is the best player in West Indies. And, you know, you see, I know he might not have made it all ranks and things like that, but you have to get a fellow like him with that ability. After I had so much talent with him, and you can hear all sorts of rumors about him. You can hear rumors about everybody. But the point is, somehow somebody would have to get it. Look, he is from Ghana. $1 Barbados is 200 in Ghana. And he don't work for $1 million just so he could buy 3 streets in Ghana. You know what I mean? So if you're from the proletariat, you get $1 million just so. Look, fellas, I mean, somebody would have to think. That fella captain the under-19 and won the World Cup, you know.
Yeah.
And nobody don't seem to remember that, or he's too fat. He you know, why is he too fat? I mean, what is his interest? You know, that you have to look at them fellas. When I was coaching in Trinidad, I used to see every player's father and mother, because sometimes we had a little boy went to England and got 8 wickets in the match on the 19th. And, you know, when you pick him to play, he came to Portistan. They know where the cricket ground was, you know, and that's what happened when you're poor. And I figure that what we need to do is to, you know, you have to reach out to some of these youngsters and take them. How many of us know that Sir Frank Worrell batting number 11 in the first match for Barbados? Number 11 got 3 wickets, 30 runs or something like that. You know? How many people know that Clive Walcott, outside of our man here, would know that Clive Walcott for Combermere played first class cricket before he was 12. How many people know that? How many people know that Everton Weeks, you know, did not go to Harrison College or Combermere or anything like that? He went to place there in
the Leonards.
Yes, in Leonards. And you know what happened? He then at 18 went and played BCL cricket. And then at 14 he went to BCL cricket and got runs. And then went in the army. And whereas Frank and Clyde was being seen by all and sundry, so Everton Leeds were not seen by any big people, you know, up there, and he got gone shoot guns and all sorts of things. You couldn't get in there without being disciplined, as Ricky was saying. And the truth is that, you know, when he played for Barbados, at number 1, you know, opening batsman. You know, he's a good player, so you get 20, 30, things like that. And he told me that Farmer, and the Captain Farmer, and he were going out, and whoever got the runs would get the game. And Farmer looked and said to him, "This is disgraceful. You can imagine having me walking up with you to get a play." And he hit the ball and so around 1 and turned back and got out. And Everton got 100. And from the time they batted him at number 3 or number 4, he got hundreds all the time. So then I'm saying, you know, sometimes it's not a youngster fault. You have to sort of deal with it. Now look, take Barbados. You're talking about, if I say that now, they will curse me. But cricket, 200 years ago in Barbados, you know, was, you know, played by the proletariat and the people up at the garrison. And therefore, it was an exercise in upper class gentility. That's what it was. You understand? And the proletariat had to wait till the crop was finished, just a your crop over to play mass. I had 9 bands, so we could tell you that. And, you know, in Barbados, because the proletariat was prominent, they had to wait until they finished the crop. And all cricket season, from 200 years, had been from June to November. And you know, that's so ridiculous because that's the rainy season. And it's only now that you cover wickets. When I was at school, you know, playing against test players and the wicket wet. I must be excused for, I'm so sorry that I did not mention, I think Springs just talked about him, Lionel Williams played for Combermere. And he was the only batsman with all the good ones that at that time we had Frank King as the curator, and he played for Combermere. And in the nets, Williams used to hit him all over the place, and he was only 14. But Mr. Hughes felt that he would be a good fast bowler. When I thought he was the best batsman. You understand? And he bowled, he's intelligent. So you may well remember he went to Guyana. He and I was vying for the position, and he went to Guyana, and Bruce Parado and Gibbs hit him for about 60-something runs in about 8 overs or something like that. And he played for Barbados again, but he played about 10 years after as an opening bat. That's a fact. You see, so you have to deal with the situation. Now, the cricket board here, they have never tried to play cricket in the dry season. You play cricket in the wet season all the time. I mean, Simon, I don't know if you realize that. And then we had to play football on these hard baked grounds. Nobody can tackle that here, bring off pure skin, you know. But we play football in the dry season and cricket in the wet season, and that's been happening for 200 years, and nobody can change it. The point I'm saying is that we don't particularly like change. Nobody can tell me that in Barbados. You can see that. Now, Charlie Griffith in 1960 played for Empire. The very last match was in October, and he finished. But the West Indies playing against England, called him up for the 5th test match. He stopped playing in October, and it's October, November, December, January, February, March, 5 months. And he ain't playing the games at all. But he was called up to play there. He got 2 wickets. Nobody can get 3. I played him at that test match. But Charlie Grove did not go to Australia. And he didn't play for the West Indies until 1963. And sir, 63, Charlie went up there. He got £100 for the entire series. £100, $480 for 6 months in England.
Lord.
And he got 119 wickets in all games and 32 in the test. And then I think it was either Dexter or Cowdrey said something to the umpire, and immediately went over and warned Charlie. And Charlie must have tell the encouraged him, just blessed him. And yeah, he did. And they took away his £50 for bonus for the end season. Now, so this fella didn't play a match against England in 60. He did not play in 61 in Australia. If he had gone to Australia, we would have won that game, those matches at least 4-1. He didn't play in 1962 for against India. And then he got played in 1963. So, that is messing up a young fellas. And he's one of the, greatest fast bowlers in the little time that he had to play there, and only from 63 to 69. So you see, you could ruin a youngster like just so, not particularly, that you did it for purpose, but you could be unlucky, So you wouldn't believe that Barbados, we still play cricket from June, and that is the situation. The last thing I'll talk about too is this, that you have to have, Henry was on it, you have to have some discipline. One day, a guy called Williams from St. George, you all would know him.
Right,
Yes, he came to me and said to me, guys, I'm going to the board this evening, and I want to propose that we have a cricket coach. I said, yeah, Fuffy. And I said, but that's what you need. He said, you think so? I said, yes. We used to have 800 boys in Combermere, and you were only having about about 400, you know, about 350 to 400. So what you need to do is to get, and I think it is Andy that said it, get a master to be there, like a master. You go in the master's room. He didn't used to sit down out in the canteen, like Frank King, you know. So this is what you have to do. You have to get and Eswick did very well at Combermere, you know, and Combermere did well. You cannot deny that. So now what I'm saying is that, you know, you have to play with those players. I'm telling you, because they can go either way. Money, you know, is like manure. It has to be spread around to be effective. I'm telling you, is a serious, is a real bad master. It's a good friend, but it's a bad master. So, sir, I feel that what we need to do in the West Indies is to get the, what I call it now, the school, the
academy.
The academy. You have to have an academy. Do you know how many academies they have in Australia, in India? India has about 80 academies. India, from the time you play for India, you are asked to come in and do the exams coaching. The all around India, that's where the fellas, the team that is playing for India don't coach. They're playing. You notice that they play more matches than anybody else.
Yeah.
And the other fellas will be there coaching. And look and see what has happened. They have people like the keeper batsman, Plant or whatever the name. But when those fellas come to play, they're coming not to commit 10 or 20. The first test match, bam, you get 100 if so that is what these people are doing. And the last thing I'll say is the sexy West Indies have sat back and let Australia, India, and who's the third one? Huh?
England?
Not New Zealand. England. You trade them deal everything. Okay? So it's 19 to 2000, I went up there and you know, there's about 9-1 against us when we tried to the problem with the West Indies was this, that we used to get money as you know, a share of the profits from England and Australia. ICC stopped that. But at the same time, they had 8, 9, 10, and 10, and then now they have 12 teams. The problem is we only make money when we play against England. And we only play them every 4 years at home. Then if we play against India, and if we play against England, India, and who's the third one? Australia. Okay? Now this is what happens. Now when we play at home, we get nothing from the other teams, not a cent. You understand? They don't have anybody watching the games. Not really playing Ireland and all sorts of people. But when we play in their land, they get all the money. Yeah. You know, they play against the West Indies, bam, everywhere. Bangladesh. Have you noticed that when 10 players came out of the Barbados of the West Indies team the other day, and this is the last thing I'll say, sir. And think about this, when the replacements went in, you know, fellas got run. From here, Kyle Mayers and Bruno, yeah, he's 90-something now in the test and the thing today. And, you know, they won the series that nobody thought that we could win. But believe you me, they got $2.2 million for the rights. And at that time, the same time, India was bowled out at Adelaide. There's nobody, look, they can bowl out any 4 girls, any 11 girls for 58, not at Adelaide. But they bowled out India for 36, yeah? and India rebounded and beat them. You know how much money India gave the team as a bonus? $60 million US. At the place where we used to go and you get a few rupees, you know? The place to go where Australia, England play them, they take their own bananas, take their own cereals. What's the name of that thing, that meat thing? They would take all of those up there. And we West Indies, you know, we wouldn't do anything like that. We would not do that to India. But that's what they would do. David Holford went there, and I've never seen anything like that. You know, you don't go from Bombay to Calcutta by a plane. You go by a train. And by the time you get in the morning, you got chicken pox and all things.
Yeah,
See
yes.
I mean, David got so sick in India. Right now, I don't know, David is, you know, doesn't talk or anything like that. He's alive, yeah. But in India, you know, one after next other on tour. But 4 or 5 things like that. Never was like that. He would never regain any strength and things like that. So what I'm saying is, you know, that when you talk about cricket, you really got to see what's happening. I saw I had a boy here, left-hander. I saw him when he was in the under 12s at school with the with a little dark fella. I don't remember his name. Left-hander. And the selectors picked him, and he played. I could tell what he played. He played against England in England. The ball swinging about all over the place. Next thing he went to India, men, you know, they have a web of confusion around him because you never see ball spin like that. Never saw a ball around you. You don't play out there. You play underneath your nose. And then the next thing you know, to New Zealand. So, you know, men at 82 miles an hour, bowling, bouncing, and running about people. What I'm saying about that is this, that here's a young fella who is all he played is one-day cricket. And he didn't look like a one-day player. He looked like a test player, but he played when they give him, you know, and batting at number 3 or 4, he has to be doing that all the time. Boy, he ain't Carter or something like that.
Yeah, you mean Carter. You mean Jonathan Carter.
I don't know what Hendy think about him, but he never had a chance. Never really had a chance. So I'm saying that they could put you in different slots, you know, and you wouldn't have a chance. So, Mr. Chairman, I have my say, but I don't talk on anything or do anything because I know. I was president of the West Indies Cricket Board, and I know what goes on. You see, and this business about playing 12 people and you know, and every time we play down here, think about it. Every time we play down here, we cannot even get. I don't know if you all realize that. No, you don't got the TV. A friend of mine the other day, 2 years ago, called me from New York, and he told me, "Man," he said, "Lucia, man, you know, going off for me. I mean, you got it on TV here." You know, and I grew up in the 40s watching the W's and not on TV, but you know, going down and watch back, you can hear everything ball by ball in the 40s, you know, and we don't get that now. So, Mr. Chairman, I figure that in looking at West Indies cricket, you got to look at the same thing that my friend was talking, but discipline. Discipline is a big thing with all players. I tell you, I manage West Indies in England, in Australia, in New Zealand, in South Africa, and in everywhere. I never lost a test series, but I mean, I don't brag about it, but everybody says that the Richards have never lost a test series. This is true. So he said that if that is good for him, I was a manager, but you had to give me a little thing too. You understand?
Definitely.
Those are the things. Those are the things that happen. You have to be able to love the game. You know, last thing I'll tell you, I played the Sir Gary Sobers. You know, what a great man. You know, you back with that fella. let me tell you, if I go back with Gary Sober, I never runs out of anybody. This is the whole thing. People don't understand that. Listen, I'm playing. Chandrasekhar got 10 wickets in Bombay. And we're now playing at Manchester, at Calcutta. And I go there. And he came down and just 2 minutes, he told me, we got to make another 100 runs to beat these people. I said, we only got Charlie Griffith and Lance get behind there. And I can't pick Chandrasekhar. So who you gonna make runs with? He said, with you. I said, what? So I said, how that happen? He said, listen, Rez, anytime that this man bowling the leg break, I'm gonna do my bat so. Every time you don't see my bat and move, it is a good week. And every time this man and the sorry bat don't move, I foot down, warm and laughing him. And you see him, he said, this man can't be taking me. And then he don't think, and come back, bam, and cut. I rushed to 37 or something like that. We coming in now. So I tell me, listen, boy, we still got another 20 or 30 to get. So Simon Nurse, I don't know if you all know Simon Nurse, but that's a character.
We tell that story many times.
Blues, my father named Blues used to call me Blues. And Combermere is a very funny place. They used to call me, they used to call me Jesus, Bar Jesus. For you who know scripture, you know about Jesus.
Son of Jesus.
Yeah. So that's the thing. So when I get for a form, I call the fellas together. I said, no, we ain't doing the big work, you know. But I get for a form, we gotta do some work. So you can't call me Bar Jesus no more. Because Bar Jesus means son of Jesus. If you all want to call me son of Jesus, then everybody know. The fans don't know about me, you call you Blues at your father. So, you know, the problem is this. Simon is there. He said, wait, Blues, wait, you picking? I said, oh, you mean about picking? Y'all in at school at Combermere. That's what we're going to do. You know, y'all in at school at Combermere, man. I picking. He said, what happened? I said, and I stupid. I should hush my mouth. I said, listen, if I tell you something, you want to tell Soberson.
Soberson no legal.
On my left face, I would never do that. Hey, I said, well, listen, Soberson picking that man. He said, what? I said, Soberson picking that man. I go in the toilet now, I wash my face and then get ready. I come out walking out with Sobers. I said, Skipper, I 38. And that man, they're gonna bowl again because they feel I can't pay it. I can make 100 this evening, you. Sobers ain't say a word. Ain't say a word. I go there, take my thing, and one man, the man Sandra came up and do some, put the group grip on me. Sobers in with that. And I all the way across here, so
the
ball stamp, and he used to jump, the ball used to jump. And when he get there, I did so. And then he hit me in my face, and the fella short leg got me. So I walked down to Sobers. I said, Soby,
what happened?
What happened there? What happened? He said, what happened there? He said, you tell him that I can't pay. He said, you can't pay rice. Go inside, but go inside.
Talk too much.
People really not having a test match. But we have to be West Indians. We can't look when you know, I'm convinced that if you notice that anytime you are going at you, we will win the first test match and we don't win anymore. I feel like the middle passage has a lot to do with that. There are parents coming down there across the passage, and if you got anything that is, you know, what's the word for when you have things like disease that you have thing. What happened? You had influenza, and if you would get better, but if you had pox or anything like that, or the flu, that would they would chill overboard. Yeah.
Really?
And I really feel I don't think that we deal with those things very well. Mm-hmm. Look at the last thing now. Look at the boy the captain, the guy that captain West Indies. You know, a guy called me and tell me, well, do you think about Jason Hall? I said, well, Jason Hall's the number one all around in the world. What more you want to know? He said, well, I noticed that the batting at number 4. I said, well, if the batting is at number 4, They only just one drop in. He said, what? I say, yeah, Baron Dort, why you gonna say number 4? The next thing you know, you get a drop. And then that thing like this. So what I'm saying to you, lots of little things could happen out there that we don't know about. But we will be arguing about it and don't know anything about it. So I am only saying, Mr. Chairman, that there's so many things that you will see Combermere is a school with a legacy. You know, when we were there in 1968, my headmaster, Major Newt, was there. He came, and you know how he like a rum. And we got 2 cases of rum for him. And he came down. And I had to answer, sir. We just want you to know that we really thank you so much for looking after us. Raul, Peter, David, myself, they've now got a picture up in Lord's in the long room with you and us, because no way in England you get 4 people paying into testing, so they did that. Oh. And he I said, sir, we would like to do a toast to you. And he do so, and I poured the rum. Nearly up top there, because I know how you like a rum. And then I put in the coat. And I said, sir, I can do so. And he do so, the man, he never had one for a long time. So he turned red. You know? And I said, sir, too much rum? He said, don't be an ass, Wes. He says, too much coke.
Wes, it's been really great.
So you have a place like Combermere with all this history. Ronnie Hughes, a coach, he wasn't a great player or anything like that, but old man, he took us, would you believe, he took 15 black boys and took us up in the Pine, you know, where the only white people that play in those days. And he said, don't hit the ball over there, people take and that's a fact. You see, so, you know, you have to understand that a school like Combermere, you know, I agree with Hendy that, you know, you really need to have these things that we're having. You see that pavilion? Lots of people will come into that. Our kids will now gravitate to that sort of thing and understand that type of
competition.
Yes, you know, and you'll find that there will be different kids, you know, and they will support it and things like that. And if we do that, you will find that for many, many years, people will talk about that beautiful thing there and the people, all of us, because I hear somebody said that we will get, you know, it would take a long time to get it. But no, long time, well, if every Combermere put in $50, you know, and nothing burdensome, and who could put in 100, who put in 100, we'll get that money. That is a fact.
I hope so, Suez. I really hope so. You know, we will endeavor to do that. And it's been a really wonderful evening. I know it's so nice we could probably do it twice, or certainly we could have a part 2 sometime. But the legacy of Combermere cricket is a wonderful thing. I think we should all be proud of it. But of course, it's something we all want to perpetuate. I'd like to thank the Old Scholars for putting on this forum during COVID and not giving up on Combermere Week. You know, I think the Combermere Old Scholars is probably the most robust of Old Scholars and the most dedicated and the most genuine. And, you know, I'd like to thank all of you for coming out. And I don't know if Mr. Green has any final words, or if we could just sign off on what's been a wonderful evening.
Excuse me if I may say something before you wrap up.
Oh, sure.
Romario Roach is on the call. It would be nice if we can hear from him, since he's currently on scholarship. He's in Barbados at the moment, but he's on scholarship in the UK. It would be nice to hear from him, since he's a present-day cricketer.
That's a good point.
Okay, have a short word. Romario?
Hi, good night.
Good night. Floor is yours, Mario.
Good night to everyone. I'm just saying I'm extremely honored to be in the presence of so many great people, especially good night to you, Mr. Wesley Hall. Being at Combermere was about the six great years of my life. I was privileged enough to be there when Mr. Essett was there in his last couple of years coaching. I was listening carefully to all what was said before, and I have to agree with most of it. I think that right now, this place Combermere Cricket is in that, yes, we do need a solid coach, but what we also need is some of the older guys, well, myself included, coming back. Not too old. I'm speaking 20 and younger Combermerians that are respected in Barbados to come back just maybe once a couple times to speak to the guys and even train with the guys. Because for me, when I was in third form and then Mr. Astrid put me to train with the bigger boys like Nicole Boucher that were in upper six at the time, I mean, that was great for me. And I felt welcome. So I feel that would also be a tremendous leap for the Combermere cricket, getting back on track. There's nothing, pardon?
Go ahead.
There's nothing much more for me to say that has not been said. Just very honored to be here and thank you that I was invited.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Let me ask you a question, son. The West Indies board was in charge of the whole of America. And what the people didn't understand is that you can't go and play cricket if the under 19s, the under 15s, and all the teams in America are people, they're either black people or Indians. What you had to do is to take the game to the schools and to the communities as the footballers did at the same time. And now America has got bona fide people. Did you actually see in those leagues, you see a lot of born Americans in that league? And how many
He's actually
boys?
in the UK.
He's actually in England, actually.
Eh? He's in England?
He's in England.
I'm in the UK. I'm in the UK right now.
I thought you were in the UK. But even or I could ask you in England now, because Ricky alluded to that. When you play, what are your ambitions? Would you like to come back and see if you can get any Barbados team and the West Indies team, or are you frightened to come back to Barbados because people like the captain now of the captain
The West Indies team in
Sussex, Oval.
Political.
So the boy at the Oval,
Lord,
he's a Belgian.
Bethel?
He's a Belgian.
Bethel?
Yeah. He's playing in all right now. He's playing in the Test cricket. He can't ever play cricket. Who?
Chris Jordan?
Jordan, yes. Jordan came here, did not get in Barbados because he's not a quick career bowler. And those sort of bowlers, maybe Barbados don't particularly think anything, but you get them in England where the ball moves about. Now, sir, are you thinking of like coming back to Barbados to see if you get a player here, or if you could get a chance?
I think Wes is.
Wes
wants to know if you are pondering your decisions.
Well, it was always a childhood dream for me to play for the West Indies, so I would most definitely want to come back.
Good. But you know of other fellows who might think that they would like to stay up there and get a comfy cap, and move on. Yeah.
Well,
did you find that some of the fellas?
I believe personally everyone has their own choice. I mean, playing county cricket, yeah, that's great, but I would love to play for the West Indies. I'd love to be in the maroon colors carrying the name proud.
I'm glad to hear that. because I got the impression that there wouldn't be any other league that would want to do that. But I'm glad that you will do that. All you need to do though, then all you have to do in England is to put the swinging ball. And do you bowl too?
Yes, please.
Right. And you know, you gotta be two-dimensional and things like that. And you'll find that coming back here to play cricket will be a lot easier. People like Warwick and Walcott, don't doubt me. They went to England around 24, 25. Frank Worrell played in the league. And you know, some of those fellas might be 40 or 50. And he first 2 innings were 2 ducks. Had to understand how to learn to play the swinging ball. So once you get a year or 2 out there, you will be fine. So I'd like to congratulate you. And
Thank you
I
very
hope
much.
to God that you will play for the West Indies. If that's what you want to do, go for it.
Yes, let me say, Doc, before you finish.
Yes,
Andrew, before you finish, I just want to say, Rochi, and I can say Rochi because he understands with me. I am so proud of you tonight. Never in my wildest dream I would expect you to come on this program and spoke the way you did, and I'm proud.
Thank you.
Keep your hard work up, last son.
Yes,
By the way, he's one of the 4 that we mentioned when you asked Mr. Small about if you have any young aspiring Combermere.
Okay, great. Okay, Andrew.
With that, let me express thanks firstly to Dr. Ford for moderation of this evening's proceedings, and also thank each and every one of the panelists for your contributions to the discourse that we all have enjoyed. On behalf of everyone, thank you. We look forward to welcoming you tomorrow night at our final event for the week of activities. It is, of course, virtual, and for that event, it will be a small charge of $15, which we hope that you will log on and register in order to enjoy that event and enable us to raise some very necessary funds, which will no doubt contribute to the pavilion, which we so desperately need and which was so beautifully presented by Mr. Van Rowell this evening. Thank you, everyone, and good night. And again, appreciative of the efforts of you, Dr. Ford, for your moderation. Thank you, and have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Night, everybody.
Thank you.
Up and on.
Up and on.
Up and on.
Bye.
See you tomorrow.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Saturday.
Up and on.
They have they have meetings every Saturday.
True, it'd be good if a lot of people can come and join the pavilion call. That's true. That's nice. Yeah. We'll put the information in the chat.
That's right. Well, thanks very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night.
Sean, help me here, boy. Yeah, look, you can hear. You know I ain't able to that. Thank you very much. We finished.
What turn off?
Yeah.
Wait. Advertise ways for the last leave. Jesus Christ. Is it Cyro Heater? Lord of mercy, man. Oh, okay. No, man.
Oh. Wait. I want people. It's like, I told my headphone, right? I went met to here. It's like, no, man. Listen, but you know, if I do not intervene and say, like, but the man went off West Indies cricket.
To the fight, ever upward to the light, ever true.